So that we could go live. Ain't not go live yet, not put my face up yet. There's one or two questions I still need to ask. But we're coming. No, that's not so good. We're coming, no, that's not good time. Oh yes, as I said, you're listening to the second time, 97.1 ZDK Liberty Radio. Dave B. Joseph in the house. We're going to explain a lot of things just now. Hey, but before we get to that, stay tuned. We will be right back. Right back.
Stop! Walking with Jesus, and I'm going through. If you're really going through, come on, get up your feet. We're gonna sing this together.
Hey, let me say good night to the man right side. Hey, what's up, right side? Yeah, see you on my board here. Let me say good night also to Chandel. Hey, Chandel and your mom. Hey, good night to you. Hey, when you ready, Eugene? The time in studio. 13 minutes after the 8 p.m. hour. And we should be here maybe until 11:30, 12. Who knows how the vibe is going to run. Hey, let me say good night to all the haters who are tuned in. Hey, good night to you. Hey, nice to have you with me. Right here, 97.1. Hey, ZDK Radio. Hey, we get the one on the right, Lucky. We get the one on the right, boy. Hey, what's up, Big King? No, it's nothing yet. Let's try work out the Facebook. We're coming in, I want to put your hands on the face on the place. So we work out things just on our head. Yes, 8:14 p.m. For those who don't know. This is Dave Beef Joseph. And you have Real Talk on here. Hey, hope and trust you had a good day. And for those of you who are going out tonight, hey, to party, hey, make sure if you're going to drive, that you have a designated driver. No drinking and driving. Please. For those who are not feeling all that good tonight, yes, as I was saying, for those persons who are not feeling all that good, say a prayer. Say a prayer. Prayer works all the time. All the time, not sometimes. All the time. Let me just say a special good night. Hey, to my buddy. Hey, the man Stonewall Jackson, Place. Down there in the Green Bay area, boy, plus you never get a chance to call you for making how things go. Forgive me, but you know what I mean. You'll get the news just now, and then I will talk tomorrow. God spare life. But big up yourself, Plassy. Hope and trust that all is good. You know what I mean. Also, the Nalda Jarvis over there in the Nut Grove area. Hey, good night to you, Nalda. Hey, and Miss Patricia Gums over there in the hospice. Hey, good night to you, Miss Gums.
If you're really going through, come on, get up your feet, we're gonna say this together.
So let me just welcome everybody to the new chapter for Real Talk, right here on Liberty Radio. And I believe yes. Yes, but as I was saying, I believe that I owe the loyal fans for Real Talk an explanation as to what exactly is happening. You know what I mean? Real Talk is now on Liberty Radio. Make mistake again. Liberty ZDK. Yeah, so you know, I think I owe it to the loyal fans an explanation, and I'm gonna go slowly. I hope that everybody have on the recorders, those who put on the recorders, so that they will, you know, I don't want to be going over this over and over again. So I'm gonna do it one time, and then I'm gonna be finished with that. Where do I start? All right, here you go. On Wednesday, the 18th of May, 2022, that's last year, I was attacked by a former friend on here at the radio station that I was before coming here tonight. On Point FM, I was attacked on air. I was accused of leaking clips or recordings to my friend day and night. Night is over there on Observer. Well, I don't know how I'm going to leak. If I give night anything, I don't know how I'm going to leak what is mine. You know what I mean? But anyway, that was the accusation. And since then, since the 28th of May, there has been several verbal attacks on me, both from within Point FM, some members of management working behind the scene, and from outside of Point FM, using the airwaves of Point FM. Calls were made to replace me, and by extension, Real Talk. And as I said, this started around the 18th of May, 2022. Through it all, I decided to myself that I wasn't going to respond in kind. That is, I wasn't going to respond using Point FM facilities because, it's not my thing. And you have to have some respect for people things, So I decided that I wasn't going to use those facilities, but I was going to use my Facebook page to defend myself. And for persons who might want to know what a Facebook page is, it is Audley Joseph, Audley Joseph, and in parentheses, Dave. I have since built out a Real Talk page, Real Talk. So for persons who might want to follow what's happening, I'm posted on both pages for now, but at the end of the month, I'm going to switch exclusively to Real Talk to do what I'm doing. So, as I said, the attacks continued, and I did my thing on Facebook because I've been afraid. I can't tell me nothing that me can't tell them and more. So that was that. Anyway, when the election date was announced by the Prime Minister, I believe it was announced on Monday the 19th of December. By the way, that was on my brother's birthday, Governor Slim. I decided to myself, taking into consideration everything, and what was being, the attacks. I decided to myself that I wanted to get out of the way because I didn't want to be accused of anything, depending on what would have happened in the election. So I wrote to the chairman of the board, Luther Lee, and I requested some vacation. I wrote to him. Well, the period of vacation that I requested was from the 5th of January, 2023, up to the 2nd of February, 2023. And I wrote to the chairman, Luther Lee, on the 20th of December, 2022, about my vacation. He did not respond to me. Anyway, what I do is labor relations, so I know what I needed to do from what I didn't need to do. So I just left it at that. Wrote to him on the 20th, and he did not respond to me. As I was leaving for work on the 29th of December, and that was my birthday, I was just about to leave the house, and I got a call from Luther. And he told me basically that he did not call me to change my mind about the vacation, but he wanted to draw an analogy along the line of, using sports. That is, you're going for a championship and you would want to be going with your full team, playing with your best team. Well, I then said to him, well, how come I'm so important in the whole scheme of things when management would have allowed the facilities of Point FM to be used to attack me? And if anything was said about it, it certainly wasn't said to me. I wasn't made aware of nothing that was happening. As a matter of fact, persons who would have called from overseas, I can remember one time Ed Lewis calling and bringing certain things to Colin's attention on here, and Colin had responded, well, call the name, and then Ed had to say, well, so I don't know who worked Monday nights and Thursday nights. Anyway, I said to him, that is Luther, I said to him that I think the best thing to do is for me to stay away from that. Persons wanted the Monday night and persons wanted the Thursday night. And then I said, okay, well, you could give it to them. His response to me wasn't very flattering of them. I wouldn't say exactly what he said, but I said to him, I don't have the time to deal with that no more. Let him go. So then I went on vacation. As I said, my vacation was for the period the 5th of January to the 2nd of the 5th of January, yes, to the 2nd of February. On the 21st of January, a Saturday, a friend of mine called me and told me that I was just fired on air. Well, I'm gonna say who the friend be, you know what I mean? But the friend who knew all was happening called me and told me that I was just fired on air. Well, I'm an Adventist, so I said to him, after the Sabbath, I will look into that. And after the Sabbath, I went and got the recording and listened to the comments that Luther would have made. Basically, what he said was, by the way, now this would have been after the election, and the comrades were really cursing as to how did this happen and how did that happen and why did this happen, etc. And he basically said that persons who were on vacation, they can stay on vacation. To which Kimber had responded, I know who you're talking about, I know what you're talking about. He didn't call my name, really, but when I asked a few questions, I was told that I was the only one on vacation at the time. Well, as I said, I'm into labor relations, so I know what I have to do in a situation like that. So I wrote to Luther. On the 28th of January. No, let me make sure I have that right. I wrote to him the Tuesday. That would have been the Tuesday after the Saturday when the statement was made. I wrote to him and I asked him for some clarity as to exactly who he was speaking to, if he was speaking to me, and I provided him with the recording as to exactly what was said, and I asked him to, give me some clarity by Friday, so that I would know what I have to do. He didn't respond to me by the Friday, and after the Sabbath that followed, I then tendered my resignation to Luther Lee. The following week, I was two representatives from two different media organizations reached out to me. I guess maybe word started going around and they wanted to know what I was doing. And I spoke to representatives of both, and I thought that, having prayed, I said to myself that I'm going to come to Liberty Radio. That's not a knock on the other media system, but in line of what Real Talk is about. That is, Real Talk is about all ideas having the right to contend. Once persons are not being slanderous, I don't necessarily have to agree with what somebody's saying, and somebody don't necessarily have to agree with me. But, all ideas must contend. So I kind of figured to myself, the best place that I should go to, with that in mind, would have been ZDK. And here I am at ZDK. This is actually Real Talk's second stint on ZDK. We were here for a short while, myself and Mr. Knight. And just as a matter for history, because some lied people out there. Some lied, no, I'm going to use the one. Some lied people, let me just leave it at that. Trying to take credit for Real Talk. You know what I mean? Give me a break. Real Talk started, was my friend. Real Talk started up at Variety Radio. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's 102.3. Is there on the radio band, 102.3, up Cookshill. Gentleman by name of Mr. Carter. He's the owner of that station. That's where Real Talk started. And as we were putting the program together, we had two names that we were banding about. One was accept it and reject. Accept it or reject it. That was something that my dad would normally say whenever he's lecturing, accept it or reject it. How am I gonna? Well, you're gonna switch over when the time right for. Okay, good. Yes, accept it or reject it. And Knight came up with the name Real Talk. As is the case, we said a prayer, flipped the coin, and he won the toss. So the program took on the name Real Talk. So when you hear people talking trippiness about this and that, just give me a break. That's just a matter for the record that I wanted to put on the record. Dane and I have been friends from since then. As I said, after we left Variety Radio, we came to ZDK for a short while. A lot of people say they never come, you know what I mean? But then he came, and we parted ways shortly after we were here, and Dane went to Observer Radio, and I eventually ended up down at Point FM. That's another one of my students and my boss, I hear people may try to take credit for, but me just say nothing, we just leave it alone. We're good buddy. Yeah, so he went to Observer, and I went out to Point FM. And me and Dane have been friends, I don't necessarily have to agree with everything that Dane does. Dane don't necessarily have to agree with everything that I do. But it seems to be a problem for some people that me and Dane are friends. Well, I hope them take them pressure pill, because that's not going to change. You know what I mean? Unless that's the will of Dane that we no longer be friends, then, we're going to be friends. They have their friends in the UPP and me the Vex. But me and Dane are friends, and everybody Vex. You know what I mean? I know you're not in. Well, that's what I see. That's another discussion there we're going to get into. But that's how it is. That's how it is. Me and Dane are friends, and that is what it's going to be. Old people used to say about people picking up cordial. Me not pick up cordial from the body. Me and Dane are friends. If them have a problem with Dane, that's for them problem with Dane. Nothing to do with me. Nothing to do with me. So that's what it is. That's what it's going to be. And let me just say publicly, Dane, you're more of a friend than plenty of them, because anyway, let me leave that. You're more a friend than plenty of them. Let me just leave it that. So people can buckle up for the ride. Some people gonna enjoy the ride. Some people are not gonna enjoy the ride. It's gonna be a problem for some people, but such is life. I really don't worry about them kind of things. As I said, Real Talk will be on Saturday nights from 8 o'clock until when I work with the co-host this trip around. We're going to just have guests. You know what I mean? When I work in a co-host this trip around. If I invite anybody in to have discussion for whatever, they come. If they don't come, then we move on like that. Let me see how this is going now. Let me go. What's it? Go ahead against it. Oh, okay, good. Okay. But I just want to make sure I understand what's going on up here, so everything good. Yeah. 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. until on Saturday nights, as it is now. So that is what it is. I hope and trust that persons understand exactly what is happening, especially the loyal fans. I'm working my way around the board, getting comfortable with it. So that's just a matter of doing that, I saw a piece on the internet the other day, and I found it quite appropriate, and I thought that I would have shared it tonight. A father said to his daughter, you just graduated. This is a car I bought a while ago. It was a few years old, but he said before he gave it to the daughter, he asked her to take it to a car dealer in the city to try and sell it and to see how much they would have offered. The girl came back to her father and said that they offered her €1,000 because they said it was very old. The father suggested to her that she hold on to the car and take it to a second-hand car dealer. And the girl did. She went to the second-hand car dealer, and when she came back, she advised the daughter that she advised the father, that the pawn shop offered her €100 for the car because they said it's very old, and it would take a lot to bring it back. So the father suggested to the daughter that she join a passionate car club with experts and show them the car. And when the girl did, she drove it to the club and she returned and she told her dad, the people them, they offered me €100,000 for the car because they said it's a rare car that's in good condition. It has great capabilities, and cars like that is difficult to find. And the father said to the daughter, I wanted to let you know that you are not worth anything if you're not in the right place. You're not worth nothing if you're not in the right place. You know what I mean? So, if you feel that you're not appreciated, you never get angry. All it means that you're in the wrong place. So find the right place. You know what I mean? That's all it is. Find the right place. So let me just go on record also to say publicly that I have absolutely no problem at all with Lutely. I have no problem at all with Lutely. As a matter of fact, he gave me a very nice reference letter as I left Point FM. I must say thank you for that. I understand that Luther sees the thing through party eyes. I can understand that. In recent past, a reminder came back to me where, to my mind, a sizable portion of the electorate on Antigua, when I say Barbuda, on Antigua, sizable portion of the electorate on Antigua is loyal to their political party and or their personal or business interests. Let me say that again. A good portion of the electorate in Antigua, they're loyal to their respective political parties and or their personal or business interests. So, just as an example, when someone is doing something wrong, or when someone is doing something that other persons consider to be wrong in a particular party, they're criticized by some members of the other political party. But when the other political party comes into government, some of the same persons who used to criticize persons with things that they say was wrong, when they're benefiting and when they're getting, is no longer wrong. And for an example, I'm going to point out the male. And I only say male because I know the person was, I mean, even though the person was born with a penis. Oh, I can say kind of something. Yeah, okay, good. All right. I don't even know if he was born with a penis, you know what I mean? But I think he has a penis. I mean, know if he work. But anyway, hey, good night, Annette. How are you doing? Bless up yourself. And everybody on the Facebook page. Good night to everybody. Yeah. When that person criticized Giselle Isaac, indicating that Giselle may get 4 paycheck and blah 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 blah. But when that person there get 4 paycheck, all of a sudden he and yam liquor food. You know what I mean? All of a sudden he and yam liquor food. You know? I don't work like that. If it's wrong, it's wrong. If it's right, it's right. In a wrong when you with my friend, or in the right when you with my friend, but wrong with somebody else. Me the cut from the cloth there. You know what I mean? In my humble opinion, political party members, and I want to stress that, political party members need to hold their political parties to account. You know what I'm saying? I think they need to hold their political parties to account for the benefit of Antigua and Barbuda. In my book, in B's book, is Antigua and Barbuda first, and then political parties. Let me repeat that. In B's book, it's Antigua and Barbuda first, and then political parties. So, I understand that, I'll be criticized in certain quarters because that's how I've decided to live my life. But my position is not going to change, regardless of which political party is in power. It's not going to make a difference to me one way or the next. I understand that once you talk truth in this place, or in this world, as a matter of fact, you're going to have to walk alone. But once I'm convinced that I'm doing what is right, by the Almighty God, I'm comfortable walking alone. As a matter of fact, as I am growing, well, I'm a big man. My mom used to tell me as a youth when we was all over the place with people, she never had me in a twin. I'm alone. So I don't have a problem walking alone at all. I'm quite comfortable. Quite comfortable walking by myself. But one thing I know for sure, when party members, and let me take my time and say this, when party members do not hold their political parties to account, their party will lose government. You know what I'm saying? Once the political party members, once they don't hold, or they can't hold their political parties to account, the political party is going to lose government. I saw the results of the general elections in 2014, and I am convinced that if the UPP members had held their party to account, they probably would have still been in power today. And I've just witnessed the results of the 2023 general elections. And I'm even convinced further that if the Labour Party members had held their party to account, they might not be arguing that much now. And I'll dare say, in my opinion, if they can't do it, whenever the next election will be called, it might be too good for them. You know what I mean? The time when people are afraid to say, no, this wrong. You know what I mean? No, this wrong. You can't be afraid to say it. You can't be afraid to say it. Well, at least, I don't know why people are afraid to say it. Some people want to talk to people as they like, and they can't talk to their wife. I'm going to repeat that. Some people want to come and talk to you on big man as them they like, and they can't talk to their wife. And if they can't talk to their wife, that means that they don't run their house. And if they don't run their house, how they can come and talk to me and tell me stupidness? You understand? No, and it's me work. And it's me work. You understand? All who want to accept that, well, that's the matter for them. That's the matter for them. In closing, I want to say good night to a man by the name of Soul. I don't know the man. Well, at least when they call him Soul, I think he lives in America or something like that. Maybe if you be an Antiguan and you live in America, maybe sell your flag. You know what I mean? Maybe have me opportunity for sell my flag. Me say me don't want a flag. At one point in time, me don't even want a visa. I want to get me get a visa. You know what I'm saying? So when they hear them talk about Antigua and they love Antigua, they love themselves. They sell out their flag. They're going to take one oath for the next country to fight against when they're bad. And they walk and postulate themselves on radio. I talk about they love Antigua. Love Antigua. They love their pocket. That's what they love. Anyway, Soul, I don't know the man, but I hear him saying on several shows that I took vacation and went to America. And me just laugh. Here all under some kind of guinea tree up Williki. I hear that to the talk of it. Me right in Antigua. And I will never be in Antigua and the vote. Never. Can't happen. Me ever sick. I will never be in Antigua and the vote. So, Soul, sing along with me, my friend. Sing along with me. If you don't mind. Sing along with me. But if you not listen, somebody will get the message. Don't worry. Hey, by the way, hey, let me just say thank you, Annette.
Walked through
Thanks for the song.
darkness, waded through rivers of grief. Oh, the enemy told me that I was forsaken. No one was fighting for me. But I didn't make it this far on my own. Though often my strength is all gone, the hands of the Savior keep holding me up. His promise of help is my song. If God is for me, who can stand against me? No weapon shall prosper when God's on my side. If it's just me and Jesus, I can't be defeated. When my God is with me, I got the victory every time. He may be calling for you to follow to places you think you can't go, and people tell you that you'll never make it. You can't win this fight all alone. But if it's a choice to trust or to doubt, just remember what He's always done. Yeah, He's never failed me, and He never will. And the battle is already won. It's already won. If God is for me, who can stand against me? No weapon shall prosper when God's on my side. If it's just me and Jesus, I can't be defeated. When my God is with me, I got the victory every time. Yeah. If God is for me, who can stand against me? No weapon shall prosper when God's on my side. If it's just me and Jesus, I can't be defeated. When my God is with me, I got the victory every time. Thank you, Jesus. When my God is with me, I got the victory every time.
Elaine and Dad's Joseph Consultancy. We consult on labor relation matters, insurance, business matters, and politics. P.O. Box 2287, Francis Lane, Yorks Village, St. John's, Antigua Barbuda. Our email address, it's elaineanddadsjoseph@gmail.com. Telephone numbers 776-0200 or 464-4201. Contact us. We are here for you.
A hoax? No. As bad as the seasonal flu, it's worse. The disease is overblown. Over 2 million have died. Let the virus spread to build herd immunity. A lot of us will suffer, and it could overwhelm our health system. Misinformation about COVID-19 has threatened the response since the start of the pandemic. You need to report it when you see it and continue to take safety measures that work. Wash your hands, wear a mask, watch your distance. This message was brought to you by your community hospital, Mount St. John's Medical Center. No, as bad as the seasonal flu, it's worse. The disease is overblown. Over 2 million have died. Let the virus spread to build herd immunity. A lot of us will suffer, and it could overwhelm our health system. Misinformation about COVID-19 has threatened the response since the start of the pandemic. You need to report it when you see it and continue to take safety measures that work. Wash your hands, wear a mask, watch your distance. This message was brought to you by your community hospital, Mount St. John's Medical Center.
And put you in shock. Then they talk you behind your back. Yeah, brother, that is a fact. No one give two twos about their neighbor. No one care at all about their brother. In this country, everybody is all of self and none of thee. No one care about you or me.
Yes, the time in studio.
Everybody.
8 minutes before the 9 p.m. hour.
It's all of self and none of thee.
Yeah, we're gonna get the ball rolling.
No one really cares for me.
Hey, make sure you keep them songs, right? They might become a trivia in the future.
All of self and none of thee. And then the stage of holy inquiry. All of self and none of thee. That's what they're doing. All of self and none of thee.
Well, in the studio with me tonight.
None for you and none for me.
Hey, my first two guests. Did I say first two guesses? Or first two guests? Hey, what a thing. Let me go to Joe Blackie first. Hey, good night, Joe Blackie. How you doing?
Yes, CL Up Real Talk. It's a privilege, to be in studio among such prestige company.
Yeah, night over there with you. Anyway, we're going to introduce you just now. When the two verse on the Facebook live as yet, so I don't really know how to bring it in as yet. The technician will come and do that, I believe.
Don't worry yourself.
But the other gentleman who say he don't really like the Facebook live, he tell somebody last night, oh, push back your bam bam. he put the somebody back camera, but he don't ban the camera. Push back your bam bam, push back your bam bam. Hey, my good buddy. Hey, what's up, Night? How you doing?
Hey, good night, Beef. I'm good. What about you?
Boy, me can't complain.
We're in a good place.
We are?
Yes, we are in a good place.
So the energy feels good.
I want to thank you very much, for inviting me to your show. I could not resist the offer to come and as your first show here again.
Yeah.
Hope we ain't get fired again.
I didn't get fired last time. I just couldn't come to a consensus.
No, because they said when night come, we were going to be fired.
No, man, you don't have time for doing that. Don't try to go like that. You don't have time for doing that at all. That was the case. How are you doing, man?
I'm good. Just happy to be here, with you. Just happy to be here with you. As the program go on and I see fit that you want like a company, I will stop in now and then because Night at Night have joined Real Talk.
Yes, I see that you're creating waves over on Observer. I see you creating waves over there. Maybe one this time we can
invite you over.
I don't know if the place gave a whole hour or what.
Yes, where real talk meets night at night.
It's good for people. Yeah, be careful. Yeah, man. Well, you know.
Well, let me say good night to Antigua and Barbuda.
You know what? Good night to Joan.
Joan, is she listening?
Me no know. What the woman say in Thailand she last night, you know what I mean?
The news will get out there.
Plenty news will get out there. Man.
Yes.
Plenty news will get out there.
Yep.
Go ahead. Sorry, you're going to say.
No, I just hoping that we'll have a productive show and we bring the information to the people of Antigua and Barbuda on the issues.
Well, you know, this is our good night program. And hail up everybody on Facebook. This program is different to that, you know what I mean? The standard is much different. Jablaki, sound your voice, I mean, if your wife will listen, your girlfriend, sorry, your wife, I mean, you know.
Yeah, well, you know, like I say, blessed. And it's a privilege to be in the studios, a real talk. Yeah, and in the company of a man like Mr. Knight and yourself, Mr. Beef.
Before we leave here tonight, we will have a little chat. I know that you have an ongoing thing with National Mortgage. Oh, sorry. You know, people going to get pay for National Mortgage. People going to get paid for National Mortgage. Yeah, I think that could be you. Say something, Jablaki.
Yeah, you can hear me now?
Yeah, I just want to make sure I know the mic's name over there. Yeah, people going to get paid for National Mortgage. I'm going to get $800.
Okay.
$800 a month. So, sorry, National Housing and National Mortgage. National Housing. Hey. All right. Yeah, I want to touch on that because I think it's important for the discussion to be had. Mm-hmm. And I think it's important that poor people get injustice.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? I think that's important. So we'll touch on that before we leave tonight. But let's start off with the election and the results of the elections. You know, me and you have been going at it with the election, man, as to what we think.
Yes, sir.
I had a different view to you.
Yeah.
I was of the opinion that in the initial stages as we were coming down, that it would have been 15-2. Mm-hmm. And then 15-2 in favor of the Labour Party.
Yeah.
And you didn't share that opinion. You said that being on the ground, what you were hearing, and we listed who we think. You know what I mean?
And this was done more than a year ago.
Yes.
All right.
And then as things happen, we know what it came down to. It was 9. I think it's 9, 6, and 2. One independent and
Barbuda,
BPM,
yeah.
Which. Mr. Michael have indicated that he will speak or he will side with any side that he believes is going in a direction to the benefit of Antigua and Barbuda. And we would have known that historically, the BPM have aligned themselves with the UPP. So the word on the street is, people are saying it's a 9-8 situation where the government, as people are saying, they can't go to Parliament. If somebody's sick, nobody can sick. You know what I mean? If somebody's sick, they find themselves in a funny position. But let me start with you, Knight, first. Let me go with Jablaki first, because me and Jablaki had this discussion as to what we think. What were your thoughts? What are your thoughts seeing how the election turned out?
Well, good night again, Antigua. And I must say, Beef, it was a bit surprising for me, because I had a few of the seats that were lost in the winning category. For example, like Mr. Harold Lovell, I thought he was going to win his seat, but for some reason it was very close.
I think you got 6 votes.
6 votes. Yeah, and so that was one of the really surprises that came out of it, on my perspective. But apart from that, everything really went the way how I mapped it out.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Knight.
Oh, thank you for the recordings, Beef.
You're welcome. And if that's why I want to tell them to eat of themselves, go ahead.
No, thank you for the recordings. For me, the elections, everyone was looking for it to be a close election. I was hoping that the UPP would have pulled through. We needed a change in this country. But after studying it and see what the people of Antigua and Barbuda did, I think the UPP is in a good place, because with the 96 loans plus the one that came just before the elections, the Prime Minister now will have to come to the people of Antigua and Barbuda with the truth. You understand me? They've been lying enough to the people of Antigua and Barbuda. So I'm looking for this budget speech, because we saw it in Thursday's cabinet notes, where they're going to implement a lot of things. So all the persons who are getting the concessions, the duty frees, the people with the 3 and 4 jobs, you get where I'm coming from? All that is going to cut out.
Yes.
It was right there in...
It's clear.
Yes, it was right there. I don't know how much people missed it,
Yes.
but it was the first
I highlighted it.
caption in the Thursday's cabinet notes,
Yes.
that all the freebies over. So the people who were the business people now, who were living on the backs of the government, is now going to be paying 50% of the salaries of the government workers, the casual workers, the job program,
Who are working at their
premises, at their job place, they're now going to have to pay 50% of the wages of these people. So you see the changes start there, and you know that this is gearing up to the budget speech in a few weeks, because on the 17th is going to be the signing in of the people in Parliament, the Speaker of the House, the Deputy Speaker, the opposition people, and then we're going to have the throne speech and then the budget speech. And that will tell us where we're going to go, where Antigua and Barbuda is going to be heading. So I think the UPP is in a good place, because what it's doing, it's giving the Labour Party a chance to clean up their mess. Because if anybody out there thinks that we're driving around partying and drinking and doing what we have to do and we don't have to get serious in this country, we have to get serious in this country, Beef. I don't know if you're on that same train of thought like me, but we have to get serious. I looked at the 2022 budget statement, or debt stock, and it's 96 loans from since 20, plus those from the UPP before. 96 loans between 2014 and 2022. I counted them. And
96.
96.
And where you found these, Mr. Knight?
In the budget estimates.
Estimates.
In the budget estimates.
Okay. All right.
I honestly think that we in the media, especially talk show hosts and in the news, is failing the people of Antigua and Barbuda. Because a lot of people in Antigua and Barbuda do not read. I'm going to say it straight up. They listen to talk shows, they listen to people who call in every day with an agenda and don't go and do the research for themselves. And that is the problem. And when they hear you come on the radio, the same talk show host, people call you and tell you a lie when you had a document right in front of you. So they listen to the politicians lying to them to stay in power, but the truth is going to come out, Beef. It has to.
Well, I agree with you, Knight, in that I too noted, I think it might have been, I'm not sure if it's the first or the second cabinet notes that were put out. I too noted that the concessions would have to be greatly reduced or cut out. I think those are the words that were used. And a government needs money to run, to provide services for the people, the residents of the country. That's a fact. And to my mind, the two sources that government gets money from is through taxes and grants. And I think that there has been a reduction in grants. China might be the one source who is making grant aid available to to developing countries, and there's a discussion surrounding that as to whether or not China is using debt to position itself to take over
and
certain
control.
strategic areas. That debate is ongoing. So taxes and the government collecting its taxes efficiently is an issue. I would have heard, and I have them, at least in 2 or 3 budget statements. It has been said through, in one way or the other, that persons who can pay are not paying. And it appears that those same persons are the ones who are benefiting a lot from concessions.
And are these same persons benefiting from workers coming out of the government program?
The job program.
The job
And as I was saying that, my mind ran on that because in the last cabinet notes, it was stated that the government is going to be expecting that employees that government pay who works in private entities, they would be expecting those private employers to carry 50% of the wages.
Yes, Mr.
Right?
Just said that.
That is, to me, that's an indication as to government showing that the pressure that it is feeling, you have to relieve it a bit. You know what I mean? This job program has been around since I was at State Insurance. That would have been going back to, I left State Insurance in 2010. And it was the year before that. I think when they started, the lady, Miss Charles.
Yes.
She might have been the initial person who was in charge of that. And my understanding was that it provided employment with the understanding that at the end of the 6 months, the persons would be taken on by the entity. Because leading up to the 6 months, progress reports should have been happening to track the employee.
Yeah.
You know, so if the employee had any shortcomings or anything, that would have been highlighted. And some persons would have been working with some private entities for years. You know, so along the way, Stevie Wonder can see that it kind of ran around the drift. I'm told that when the UPP was about to leave government in 2014, they had increased shortly before they had increased the pay. Right, they had increased the pay amount, the payment, the wages. That I was told by somebody who was in the program that, and before this election cycle, just before the election, the government added to the government's payroll those persons who were on the job program and working for government. I've lost track as to what the government wage bill is. I know Knight follows that like a Bible. Me and him differ on that also. I'm a trade unionist, right?
It's about $485 million.
Right. And I think it would have moved by roughly how much percentage between administrations from one to the next?
When UPP left office, it was about 295 or some million dollars.
So let's round off the let's say 3 million.
Yeah.
And it's now 480.
300 million.
Right, 300 million, right.
Yeah.
And they say it's now 480 something million?
Yeah, it's around, about 480.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, me and him have argued with that forever because my thing is...
Well, Beef, if the private sector is not performing and is not given a chance to perform and government is in every hogwash, everything out there, and the private sector is just lingering, and, you know what I mean, and then the government is paying their workers. Come on.
Well, I hear you, but I can recall years ago. I think the gentleman. Well, what's his name, boy? I think he works for. Let me not call the company name, but he was the head of the Employers Federation. The name escapes me right now, and I remember there was a discussion ongoing about that, and he was saying that yes, government needs to do something. This is years ago now. Government needs to do something with the program, but he was still saying at the same time, the private sector could not absorb them. Right? So what is going to happen with the unemployment rate? You know what I'm saying? And
So we just added over about 700.
No, I'm talking about first. Let's come up to it to see how we get to where we're getting. And to me, personally, as I said, I can go back and look at least the last 3 budget statements where the government have indicated challenges in collecting taxes from entities who we believe should pay. Some of these entities get tax holidays for 20-something years.
25 years plus.
Right? And I don't really have nothing against nobody who have what they have. You know what I mean? Me no grudge nobody. But these people who are getting the 25-year tax holidays, etc., for their business, they have the best homes. The children go to the best schools here and abroad.
But beef.
Wait a second, let me just finish it. Here and abroad. But when the 25 years is coming to a close, they're now going back to the government and telling the government, well, if this is not renewed, I'm going to have to close down.
What I'm trying to say is being facilitated.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I'm not going to argue that at all. And until that cat is belled, in my opinion, we're going to be talking the same thing for the next 10 years.
So,
because unless government get the money, it can't do what it's supposed to do.
So the government is giving 25 years tax concession and still paying your staff.
That's a fact.
Okay.
That's a fact. We will see what happens in terms of how the private sector will make the adjustment if government sticks to its guns in relation to that. Because, and I can tell you from a trade union standpoint, historically, when we had discussions in relation to the minimum wage, right? Sometimes the employers don't even participate in the discussions. And when the recommendation is made, they then would have discussion with government, and the normal refrain is, if these monies go up, we're gonna have to cut staff. And the government now is thinking about employment. You understand the point I'm making?
Yeah.
So that's the cycle that we're going in. So let's wait and watch and see. Because in the last minimum wage debate, my understanding was or is that the employer side, and I must say for the record, because I've been told by persons who are in there that it's supposed to be a tripartite situation. Government, employers, and unions. From the very early up in the game, people from the union side was telling me that the government side and the employer side was one. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, when the recommendation was made to cabinet, I believe, at least what I was told, the employers wanted a year reprieve, then moved to $890. And the unions were at, I believe, $1250 or something like that. Both reports, the majority and the minority report, went to cabinet, and the cabinet meeting got heated.
This is the last one you're speaking
Yeah,
about?
the last one got heated. I was told that, and that has been confirmed. If you all had a chance to read a letter that's in one of the online newspapers from the gentleman Ephraim, I think is the name. If you notice that he would have made a reference to when the Prime Minister stormed out of cabinet and blah blah blah. So that was confirmation for me for what I was told. They were at the first year remaining at 820. They moved to 890. The union was at 1250, is my understanding, and the government came up with $9, and that would have since been made effective the 1st of January. That's my understanding. During the campaign, the UPP had proposed that they were going to move the minimum wage to $10.
Yeah,
$10. They would have had discussion according to what was said with the trade unions, and they felt it would have been that. To persons who are not making minimum wage, it might look as if it's just $1. But at the end of the year, with $1 difference, it's about $2,400 difference at the end of the year. And I heard some persons trying to minimize and say that there's not the persons working for minimum wage is not that much. I think the figure is in between the region of 12,000 and 15,000 workers making minimum wage. And if you're going to tell me that that's not a sizable number, then the person really don't know what I'm talking about.
agreed.
You know what I mean? So, that is what is happening. Unless persons who can pay don't pay, we're just going to be having the same thing over and over and over. We would have heard at National Solid Waste, to which you would have some information on also. We would have heard from persons who were part of the whole apparatus down there. They would have been saying publicly that the problem that National Solid Waste has is that they're not the money. The income apparently comes from, I think it's from the airport and the seaport. But at the same point in time, if the statutory body is in problem, the government, if it has money, would assist them. But if the government now pick up the money, then I'll get the money. Where the assistance is going to come from? And then you're going to have the monies running up, as you would know. And to make matters worse, the Prime Minister would have said that we as a country, we are not getting value for money from some of these contracts. That's what I'm saying. So that's just the reality of the situation. And whether people like it or not, that's what it is.
But they know the problem. Mm-hmm. But the solution is, and they've been pumping monies into big business. Okay? And still turning around paying their staff. Why not set up a small business office where you give concessions? If you're giving 25-year concession, let's say Jabaki business wants to expand, you give him a 10-year, 5-year, 10-year concession. If he fails, that's his business. He cannot say don't help him. You understand?
Well, my understanding is that I believe it started under the UPP, continued under the Labour Party, where concessions by law was set at a particular amount based on the investments. That's my understanding. I don't know if I'm wrong or not, but that's my understanding. Depending on the size of your.
That's how it is.
Depending on the size of your investment.
But it's not working.
Well,
it is not working for the ordinary man on the street.
I can agree.
It's not working.
I can agree.
Because what we see that people are setting up on the side of the road. The place is getting more and more congested. You can't even drive properly because people don't have the sidewalks to walk on anymore. We're not centralizing things in this country like other countries. You go down to St. Martin and all these tourist countries, you see how orderly the place looks. Not in Antigua.
But these things have been spoken about for some time now, and I mean there hasn't been any
enforcement,
yeah, and any attempt to even try and make an attempt,
because everything around here depends on a vote, and until the politicians change their mindset and say, look, we're gonna fix Antigua, we're going to straighten out things, whether you vote for me or not. this is how we want our country.
But why is that solely the politician's responsibility and not that segment of the electorate who can hold politicians or any political party feet to the fire to do that? Why does it have to be the politician? Because I personally, the politicians have their part to play, yes. Right? But the politicians don't vote for themselves, no.
Because it's the norm.
And that's why I said in my dissertation earlier, right, that persons around here, it's about their pockets, it's about their benefits.
Personally,
well, some persons, let me not say all, some persons. Go ahead, Joe Blackie.
Yeah, well, what I was saying that basically, I missed my thought really, but go ahead, I'll catch on again.
Yeah, but the politicians put their, you might have departments that deal with these things, but what I'm saying, the politicians put their cronies in place that just sit down and wait for the politicians to give them directives.
I hear you, Knight, and I do agree with you somewhat. I'm not going to tell you that I don't. I do agree with you somewhat. As a matter of fact, recently, may have been as recent as yesterday, I heard a radio personality saying that when persons are appointed to board and the Senate, they're appointed to defend the party. Person said that.
Yes, I heard that too.
Right? When I heard it, I smiled to myself. Right? Because even though I do understand that political parties have to look about their soldiers, right? I don't think they should be putting square pegs in round hole, right? The only work that I've had outside of working for myself is at State Insurance Corporation. I worked there from 1988. And I speak to a lot of people at State Insurance Corporation. A lot of people at State Insurance Corporation speak to me. We have never had a board until recent time that was fighting with the employees for bonus. That's a fact. We have never had a board, I said, since 1977 in State Insurance Corporation who was fighting with the staff for bonus.
But the board was present.
They always have a board. It's until recent times that has happened. And it got so antsy that the staff now is not being paid a bonus because of how that went down. I'm just talking about putting square pegs in round hole.
What's recent? What's recent?
Within the last 5 years.
Okay.
Within the last 5 years. Certain privileges was given to board members, I could tell you that. The staff, there was a 2-tier medical scheme in place. Management was getting 100% benefit refund. Staff would have been getting up to maybe 80%. I'm just speaking in round terms. It was only up until recently that the board was getting the same as management. So, in addition to whatever your board fee is, in addition to what discount you're getting on a property and on a motor vehicle, and if I tell you how much some of them board people pay for properties that have 2 drive-in garage, your head will hurt you. Right?
I can't imagine.
And in addition to all of that, they're still benefiting 100% medical insurance. Them and their dependents. I'm not sure whether or not they contribute to the dependents.
Wife and children.
Well, no, it's not wife and children. Well, okay, let me not say that.
Woman and children.
Let me say female and children.
Oh, okay.
But then again, McCain was a female because, anyway, okay. That's a fact. So, it's when I heard the person say that when you're put on a board or when you're put in the Senate or whatever, you're there to defend the government. I thought that you were put on these boards and in these positions, even though yes, I'm a Labour Party supporter, or yes, I'm a UPP supporter, or yes, I'm a DNA supporter. Even though that's the case, me hear nobody tell us about Antigua and Barbuda.
I'm the improvement.
You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
Nobody say about Antigua and Barbuda.
It's what's in it for me.
And to come back to unite, what I was saying in terms of the politicians you're saying, I am saying, Dave is saying, if I'm put on a board to serve and I am told of a policy that I am convinced that it is not to the best benefit of Antigua and Barbuda, having had discussion with the policymakers, because me not argue with the policymakers.
But that's how you got yourself in trouble.
No, me not get myself in no trouble.
Because when they were giving away Jabberwock Beach, go
ahead, talk
and you told them, as the chairman of the board, you said, no, not you. You're not signing away Antigua and Barbuda Beach.
So what kind of trouble am I getting?
You had to resign.
So what kind of trouble in that?
Yeah, you walked away, but how much of them would have done that?
But me, that's the point I'm making.
Well, you just...
But firstly, meaning a problem. That's the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because 10
But
years...
how much people in Antigua knew that?
Well, all of them...
How much people in Antigua knew that they were giving... Well, they gave away, because there are people who signed it. Good night, matey. There are people who signed to give away Jabberwock Beach. Mm-hmm. And they're on radio every day, talking about Antigua and Barbuda.
All of them say.
So you must tell the people of Antigua and Barbuda that you walked away. You walked away from not giving away Jabberwock Beach.
Me never tell them.
What do you mean you don't have to tell them?
No, me never tell them by none. They will know. People will know.
Well, if you talk, sometimes things stick.
I am not into. I'm not. All of them saying.
So you defended Antigua and Barbuda, and there are people who defended their party.
And that's why I can say what I would have said. That is the reason. I mean, I say 1 minute, no. 1 minute, no, me to talk about. That's why I'm going to get sued for time up on radio.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But simple rule. Now come and say why I don't know. Simple. If you can prove what you say, talk away. Mm-hmm. If you can't prove it, I can't satisfy me that is the proof, that's it. Simple as that. So I don't talk about what I don't know. But the point I'm saying is, coming back to unite in terms of the politicians, I am saying that there is a responsibility on certain segment of the society, certain segment of the electorate. I'm saying certain segment of the electorate because there are some people, as you said earlier, they just follow. They whatever Jablaki say, that's the gospel. Whatever Beef say, that's the gospel. Whatever Knight say, that's the gospel. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about those persons who can sit down and think out something.
For themselves?
Yes. They have got to say to their political party. The political party support them, but now support you because what you're doing in the best interest of the country.
But I believe,
and that is where the change will come from, in my opinion.
But I believe that process has started.
I agree with you.
I believe that process has started.
I agree with you.
Right.
I agree with you.
Right.
I agree with you 100% with that. I agree with you 100%. 100% with that. I think the election results is showing that. The one thing that I looked at in the election result that is where I have my eyes on, according to the preliminary report from the observers and them who were here, we had a 67% turnout.
And that is bad.
If it continues, it means that we're going to have a government in this country appointed by the minority of the people.
Yeah.
Let me ask this.
18,000 people, 1 minute, Jamaki, hold your last. 18,000 people, and if you take out some of the dead people who's still on the list, let's say maybe 16,000 people did not go to vote.
You believe that 2,000 people on the list of dead? I think so. But I understand the point you're making, though. I understand the general point you're making. Go ahead, Jablaki.
If I want to even pick up our voters' ID card, if I go tell them that your mother dead, or your daughter dead.
Go ahead, Jablaki.
What you believe drove individuals not to go out and vote? With all that's going on in the country, what you believe caused people not to go out and vote?
Night, you put it that too?
Yes, Mr.
Night, what's your opinion on that?
I think most people in Antigua and Barbuda are kind of dissatisfied with what they're seeing in both political parties. They're just not bringing out the people. Some people just don't care. They might be living well outside of the political realm. They don't understand that not voting might have repercussions in the future. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I understand.
But there are people who live in Antigua who are okay with what's going on.
That's what I was about to ask.
Yes, they're okay. They're okay.
Can we, break it down to people just being relaxed and are very much comfortable with what's going on?
J Blackie, there are people who do not listen radio. They don't socialize with the ordinary people. You understand me?
Yeah.
They keep to themselves. There's a certain section of Antigua that just say, look, we are making money whether which government get in power or not. We are making money. We don't have to vote because whoever goes there, we will make money.
I always have to come to them.
Yeah.
All right.
But for us to move from 12,000 to 18,000 in an election cycle,
that's huge.
That needs a scientific study, Beef.
Well, I don't think so.
No?
No, I don't think so at all.
Why the people?
I don't think we need a scientific study. I believe.
Well, give me your take on it.
The first thing that you said, I believe that's the issue. I believe that more and more people are getting disillusioned by both parties, and that would have led to that situation. There's no one, in my opinion, there's no one thing that would have led to it. There's a number of things that came together.
Yes, agreed.
Right?
Agreed.
I speak to some people who were related to one particular Labour Party candidate who lost. And that person, they say, was doing the work for a lot of other people. Right? And they claim that would have caused the seat to go. That's one. Politicians, in my opinion, some politicians, not all politicians, some politicians, in my opinion, they take the electorate for granted. When election time is coming on, I mean, if it turns too much, you'll run into them. When election done, no, if you try to call them, you can't get them.
You can name one politician that you cannot tag that to?
Yes, I can. Within reasons for me, if I call Max Fernandez, Mr. Max Fernandez, if he doesn't, for whatever reason, answer, and I leave a message, he would get back to me.
Okay, fair enough.
I can speak for him.
But don't you believe, Beef, that it's time for us to put systems in place where we do not have to deal with this check the minister business?
That is what it should be. But again, it is a lot of this is dependent on the people and them who accept. As a matter of fact, I posted something on my Facebook Real Talk page the other day that says, "What you allow happens." Right? Mm-hmm. When I got a piece of land first, I only have one piece of land down in York. One time, this guy tell me I have all kind of land someplace by the radio. I tell you, look, we're going to give 2 weeks to find the land of them, whether with me or me and somebody. And if you can find that, we can give you the land. If you can't find that, and you not apologize, I'm going to sue you. In 1 week, you come back and apologize. Right? When I had in some applications, and they told me that I need to get a letter from the minister, from the member of the area, the parliament area. Someone said, why? The person that helped me pay my bill. Why? They said, well, that's the case. I said, well, I'm not going to government land. And about 2 weeks, 3 weeks after that, a friend of mine who worked with me at State Assurance She and her fiance was going to invest in this housing project that they had up in Seaview Farm, or Lightfoot.
The Trinidadian company that came here.
Yeah, what the name of the development? But when you come up the hill, you turn to the right.
Yeah,
right?
We had a lot of problems with those
right.
houses.
Yes,
the Trinidadian people.
Right, and her fiance had a piece of land down in New York that they were selling, that they wanted to use the money for that. And I went to the bank and got a loan, and that's why I got a piece of land. I am not going to no minister for no letter, forget no land. Right? And people should take these kind of positions, in my opinion. Because when you take this kind of position, right? If I say I'm not coming to you for a letter to get no land, that me a pay for, right? You can come to me from foot. How you work? How that work? How that work?
But again,
people need to take stock of themselves and take their responsibility. It can't be everything for the politician, in my opinion. That's what I'm saying.
But a lot of people are not aware of these things, Beef.
They're not aware of what?
They're not aware that they can do it for themselves. They think that it's just what the status quo.
No,
they have to go with it.
Me not agree with that.
Okay.
Me not agree with that.
Okay.
A lot of them take the easy way out.
All right.
Right? Because, I mean, hey, let me even reverse now before I say that. I hear it being said that I was on a board when the UPP was in power, and then I.
What, the Labour board?
That no. That's the person was saying, and I'm on the board with Labour Party time. I served on the medical benefit board, representing the Antigua Trades and Labour Union. When the UPP was in power,
well, maybe J Black is right. Maybe they did not know.
I was no, but you see. A plenty thing that no. A plenty thing.
Well, that is why we're here.
But what they know, they know the 4 paycheck.
They know
How they know that? How they know the 4 paycheck, but they know that? Hey?
They know how to collect it.
Oh, I know how to collect it. Anyway, I don't know, Eugene, if you're around. I don't know how the telephone system is working as yet. Maybe we could open the line and have people engage if they want to participate in the conversation. So if you're listening, Eugene, maybe you can assist me with that. As I come back by next week, I'll have it all tied up.
So let's go back to the small business.
Before we go, it's 462-1100, right? That's the number. I'll make sure I'm going to give the number for other people. People, if you would want to participate in the discussion, you could give us a call. 462-1100. That's the only number. Hey, 462-1100. I see we have Facebook. Is there any WhatsApp number? There's no WhatsApp number. It's just a telephone and WhatsApp and Facebook. All right, 462-1100. Give us a call if you would want to participate in the discussion at any time. You show me what is what when it comes to. Go ahead, Knight. Sorry about that.
Yeah, so let's go back to the small business there, Beef. And government helping small business. Location, you understand me? Location is good. Helping them with the concession, the 5-10 year concession. If they fail, that's their business. You understand me?
Yeah.
Because they cannot say the government didn't help them. If we can be helping big business, it's time now to reverse that. And this will reduce the dependence on government. Keep hiring people. You, Blackie, you hire people in your business.
Of course.
You have drivers, you have different people.
Of course.
You ever get any concession from government?
Not one.
To help your business?
Not
You're
one.
a small businessman.
Not one. Let me say this, Mr. Knight. I'm an entrepreneur. I have a few rental cars. And one time I went to the government requesting 2 cars duty free.
Get a little closer to the mic, talking to the mic.
Yes, I went to the government a few years ago requesting 2 cars to be cleared from the port via duty free. And I was told that the government doesn't help individuals who are involved in a rent-a-car. But just the other day, I was listening to the individual who has responsibility for the entrepreneurial fund, and he strategically said that an individual over in Barbuda was given a loan, was given an opportunity to get monies from the entrepreneurial fund to import cars for rental purposes in Barbuda. And I'm telling you, man, I felt it, but you know,
maybe when did you ask for the assistance?
I'll say around 5-6 years ago.
All right, maybe the policy changed in 5 years, 6 years time.
But I have heard with that same, the $5 million, I think that they put aside to help entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
I've heard even Labour Party people, supporters, complaining of they have to go through so much red tape, so much argument just to get help in that fund.
All right. Before I have my little piece of that, telephone lines are open 462-1100. 462-1100 if you would want to participate in the conversation. So let me just put that out there. I'm looking at the Facebook page as we go along. I see Monique is saying the EDF is different from the government. Monique, if you believe that, let me say this way, Monique. My understanding.
Let's tell she chat stupidness. You gonna like she chat stupidness.
Let's say she don't know. Let's say she don't know, because the final decision
is the cabinet.
Is the cabinet. So you can't be saying, well, it's not correct to be saying that the EDF is different from the.
You too nice.
Remember, this is real talk now. We don't take the form of other shows.
That's why it's real talk. It's straight talk. I understand. I
understand, Mr. Knight.
But
go ahead.
Two things that kill small business around here, okay, is rent and APOA. And I've been pushing this.
Cash flow as well, Mr. Knight.
Right, but what it's rent and APOA.
Yeah.
And that's why you see a lot of people go to business, because one, they can't afford their rent, and then the APA with the high bills. You get where I'm coming from?
Yeah, man.
So what I'm saying, the government can make money, or you're building houses now. What about building small, it's like what they did in Param.
Yeah.
I've been talking about that, what Turner did in Param, to help small business people. You understand me?
Island-wide.
So they don't have that overhead. And even if government charge them a small stipend to keep the place clean, to keep, water running in the area.
They're going to find that.
Of course, keep the place painted and stuff like that, beautify the place, taking the people off the street, have a central location. You understand me?
Yeah, man.
Have a central location for all these vendors, taking them off the street. We have to stop doing things to get re-elected in this country.
And every road, every highway that you traverse now, it's someone else is adding to the vending.
You know what I tell you? Is that's showing up the poverty in the country.
Yeah, man.
That is showing up the poverty in the country and the unemployment.
Hold up for me, guys. The top is it? It's money? All right, let me go. Good night, caller.
Good evening.
Hi, how are you doing, sir?
You're not bad. I agree with a lot of things that government can do, but a lot of things the Antiguan can do too now. You know why?
Go ahead, tell us.
Antiguan have their millions and trillions and don't want to help. And we depend and discriminate against all the government for secure themselves. You know, when you go into politics and you come out of politics and you be a part of what happened to you, you know what you go say and me go say? You go into politics and you come out and you're on the street like a Daddy Barrow. Maybe you don't know who we used to call Daddy Barrow. A man now used to call him who you suit. Listen to me. Nobody say they must go in and rob the nation. But you go into politics, you have to be honest, and you can secure yourself that when you come out, people would say good things about you. You know, if bank lend out money and then have security. You know, a lot of people run away with bank money and don't want to pay them. And everybody can say government should build a house, government should build an apartment, government should build. The people that have the money can do a lot of things to help the government too. And don't discriminate a lot of things.
So why you don't use yours?
Me have 13 pick me, 27 grand pick me, and 11 great grand pick me, and 7 great. You know me, we tell my Jews, we used to sponsor 2 football team. I have paid my dues. Maybe you know not about me. I was knighted under people put me up to the night in hospitality. Me retire. I used to sponsor. I played Master 38 years, winning King of the Band 11 times, and I never take a cent. Ask us Herbert, Arthur, you don't know me. You don't know Dennis Friday that used to have a stone St. Mayo Street. If you didn't know me, you wouldn't talk that about me.
So where's
I used to employ 24 people in this country. I pay my dues, mister.
So where's the store today with so many picnic?
Where my store? Me old and get old and me sick bad. What you think I do? Go in the street and tell me, Brock, me no own nobody. And ACB have helped me.
Mr. Friday,
thank them.
Mr. Friday, you're not answering me.
I wear chat. That's why I don't do nothing.
Oh,
me still employ 6. But my son responds to that.
Right.
I still employ 6 people. But listen to me. A lot of people get things, but they don't want to pay back. And you know black people too. You lend them $5, and when you think you'll get back your $5, you get cussing, the effing and the R and the comment. And you know the gentleman, the program is very good. But listen to me. Government got to secure themselves.
So you got your concession. You got your concessions from government.
Eh?
You got your concession from government to facilitate.
Concession. Me ever get from any government, Baldwin and ALP government, a duty free, not a thing else, partner.
And that is what we're talking about, Mr. Friday. Your business.
Hey, but listen to me. You know how many people get duty free?
Listen, Mr. Friday, listen.
I get a duty free, but when I get my duty free, I make it a good use. I get a duty free maybe every 10 years. I get it, and I don't come back until every 10 years. And I get back, put myself every month. My daughter pay 3 checks to government.
No.
Social Security, medical benefit, and education levy. Mrs. Francine Friday Roberts, me not do it, my daughter. Gotta go high school and grammar school. But I pay my dues. You know how many people don't make contribution, partner? Me used to sponsor 2 teams, 2 football teams. Me can't do no cameo. But check and see how many young people doing something. They want everything for nothing. God bless you. Have a nice evening.
All right, Mr. Friday, thanks for your contribution.
No. I think he misunderstanding me, Beef.
Totally.
What I'm saying, they have the incentive package for big business. Mm-hmm. We have to reverse that to help small business.
Entrepreneurs.
No, I hear you. But what I'm saying is, I don't know that what you're saying doesn't exist. Because my understanding is that based on the law, whatever you are going to invest, it has the corresponding concessions to go with that amount.
So why it's not
That's my understanding.
So, but it's not working.
And well, I'm not going to say it's not working, or it's not working to the extent that it ought to work. But I now take a point that Mr. Friday made in that, by nature, we are not sometimes risk takers in terms of investment. That is true too. Some of our people like to see their money in the bank. So it's a two-way thing, right? It's a two-way thing.
Those are the old minds, Beef. Sorry to say that, but not individuals my age group and so on. We go out and we take chance, Beef. Let me say this again, Beef. About 2 years ago, I had about 6 cars and a van. Today I only have 2. I have to sell them because things were so tight. And this is what Mr. Knight is trying to say.
Well, let me ask a question. As the business that you were into, I know that taxi operators are entitled to a duty-free. I'm not sure if it's every 2 years, every 5 years, or what. I'm not sure. As a businessman in the rental field, is there anything like that on the books that you could get maybe some assistance to replenish your fleet or to refresh your fleet after whether it's 5 years or what? Is there anything like that in place?
I can't say definitively because I've never went and had another conversation with anyone. But as it pertains to taxi, I know that the taxi operators do get a duty free and so on.
Every what, 2 years?
I don't know. I've never been to because I just took it upon myself and did everything for myself financially. I never went to anyone for any help for my taxi and stuff like this. But unfortunately, I'm not even operating my taxi for today. I had to sell it. You understand? Because, like I say, things just went real tight.
Knight, you wanted to say something?
No. I think we have labeled on this topic. I just want to see the reverse happening. For how I hear the red tape with people cursing what they go through as small business, I just want to see the reverse beef. And when I say the reverse, we're happy to give big business these concessions, turn around paying their salaries, their staff salaries, if they have trainees and stuff like that. Why not do it for the small business?
And let me say this before we move on. I operate also a trucking company. And if my business were to be paid on a regular basis, I wouldn't need any help from the government. I would be one of those entrepreneurs who can hold my own and don't even have to look for a concession, a duty-free concession, because if, like I said, if I'm being paid regularly, I can hold my own. But this is part of the problem as well. As a small business in this country, and you're not being paid regularly, it's hampering the business.
Well,
I hear you. And earlier, when we spoke about what's happening down at National Solid Waste, we're in early days yet. We're in early days yet. What, election is like about a month away, about 3 weeks away, about 3 weeks ago.
Yes,
right.
About that.
So in early days yet, as I said, I know that the Prime Minister himself is on record that we're not getting value for money down there, and I would.
Why you think that is so?
Personally, I believe that some front-end companies at work. That's my personal belief.
I would have heard the Prime Minister said that they would have allocated monies that could have paid contractors, if not weekly, on an every other week basis. And
our big business get paid first.
Well,
that's a part of it.
Big business get paid first.
That's a part of it. As is with other things also. But what you're saying, I remembered, I'm not sure if it was you or called, but I remembered one time the Prime Minister made that statement that he don't understand what's happening because extra money was given to National Solid Waste.
Yeah.
And I went about asking some questions, right? And I was told that the extra monies that was given does not amount to 1 month. the bill for National Solid Waste for 1 month. And I was hearing that some persons were owed some hefty sums of money. So if you owe me, call a figure $5 million, and you pay me $500, even though you're paying me now, but how you dent the $5 million?
It's not moving at all.
And I know also one of the things that was done also, some persons were able to even get land in exchange for some of the monies that they were owed for national solid waste. I know that for a fact. That to me is not the best way. If you ask me, when it comes to our land, I'm very, very, very peculiar, stingy with that. I think that our land should remain as much as possible with the state to benefit future generations. I believe that.
And you know who are going to be going after these offers, right?
Well, it's going to be people who, the big companies.
Okay.
But when the person told me the kind of monies that they were owed and what was happening to me, to solve that problem down there, I'm talking about there might have to be an input of anything upwards of $10 million. From what I was told. I didn't call you and tell you. I even called you and apologized to you.
Yeah.
Right after, because I had a different mindset before I knew that. And then because I made a joke of it, because the Blackie said, the Blackie, when me here get money, let us some for me.
Yeah.
It was a joke, and and I went and asked some persons who were familiar, familiar with it, and I couldn't believe that.
Well, according to the Prime Minister, what he says that people just want to go and buy a truck and pack up
and that is true too.
The government system.
That is true too.
And so when you would have looked at one individual who was 2 and 3, how you categorize that?
That's where the friend and company come in.
Okay.
I mean, look, a real talk this,
Okay.
A real talk this year. And these are the things that are going to have to be flushed out for us to begin to solve the problem. One thing I always remember Dr. Cart for. I remember Dr. Cart saying, turning around an economy is not like turning around a speed car. It's like turning around a tanker. Right? So it's not a one silver bullet that you fire. No, it's going to take a combination of moves. It's going to take a combination of moves, but hard decisions are going to... I mean, I don't even want to speak what I know in relation...
So then it's not real talk anymore?
No, it's not, it is, man. But
so it's not real talk anymore?
You're not going to a movie house and cry fire.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to the movie house and say, hey, come night and black, yeah, they come this side, things don't look too good.
And that's why...
And then they come back in,
and
then, that's how it works.
And that's why people like Jackie Winter and Monique Wilshire is not going to like me and you.
Oh, well, I mean, Monique, well, I don't know.
Because they're accustomed to hearing the propaganda. And when it speaks straight to them of what is going, when you come and speak to them of what is really going on in the country, they gonna call you enemy of the state.
Well, don't worry about people.
No. I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you that.
No, well,
because they prefer to hear the lies and the propaganda than what is going on. I just tell you earlier that between 2014 and 2022, I counted 96 new loans, and then some lie. You understand me? And I have the paper.
Yeah, man.
So these are people who listen to the propaganda. That beef, I am telling you,
right.
They're not going to like us because we're going to tell them what is going on in the country as facts.
But that's why they're supposed to like you.
Meaning about you.
And that's why they're supposed to love you. Because if me say to you that this is what existing and you can see to it that this is evidence, me not gonna love you.
Night, me don't know about you, but me not really hear for people like me now.
Oh, okay.
So and I think you shouldn't try to do that too. Not hear for people like you. Once you're straight in your mind, don't worry about the rest. That's all right.
But you see, when some people talk, you have to research them and know that they sit at home and get paid.
What?
Okay.
Anyway,
moving right along.
I see here that somebody's asking for a particular person to call in relation to the EDF. I would like the person to call too, because there's some things that I know in relation to that. All that I'm saying in relation to the EDF, I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good idea to try to assist people. I don't think that, well, at least within recent times, I haven't been following it up within recent time, because I have two friends who had applied, right?
Mm.
One of them took in his audited accounts and everything and so, and the man asks you how much money he make a week or a month.
Nonsense.
So the man the tech back is on that.
Nonsense, man.
That's a fact. Another one of my friend. When I got home, I saw the whole board by him. Hey, you drive the motor yard. You look $30,000 and the whole board ever come.
Right.
Drive the motor yard, they're not getting the money.
Right.
And from since then, I've really divorced myself from that. So I don't know. I would have heard the Prime Minister at one point in time say that they had added a component that the government itself can take a stake in a business, and then once you ding, then they pull out. But I just heard it on the radio. I haven't really been followed up based on those two things that I would have heard. Because, we talk about the Chinese and all them kind of stuff when we watch the Chinese doing things. The Chinese government invest in their people.
Help
right?
Chinese.
I saw a stat somewhere along the line where it says that maybe 50% or more of new businesses that start fail. Right? 50% or more. And once you would have passed 2 years, then that's a good sign. Right? I say that to say this. With all the plans that you have that goes to the EDF, all the business plan and blah, 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 you're not going to have 100% success rate. Right? But in my opinion, investing in your people, that one successful business come could, could go far. That's my opinion.
Of course.
And from my understanding, that is how the Chinese do it. The Chinese and them invest in the people. They understand that, you might fail and blah, 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 but that's what it is.
Well, we went down this road because we looked at the government's wage bill.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to look at ways, because they're not going to be able to manage it. So they have to look at ways of...
It has to come from the private sector.
Small business. And that's where we were at. Where if the big businesses are not doing it, you have to invest in the small business so they can take 1 or 2 people. You get where I'm coming from? Jablaki, you invest in Jablaki business. Jablaki can hire 2 people out of the job training stuff, where they don't have to depend on government to pay their salaries and stuff like that, because the government already give Jablaki these concessions, which will translate in hiring people.
Jobs.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the way we have to go. The private sector has to be the engine of growth. We create lands for people to put their businesses on, so they can come out of rent. Because rent, I'm telling you, I know people that struggle to pay their rent. They're in business, struggle to pay their rent, and their APOA. Big time. It happens around here. Those are the 2 killers in Antigua and Barbuda.
As long as you're not having a steady cash flow, you're gonna be faced with those sort of stuff. But as long as you're making money and you're having a cash flow, you will never find yourself in those difficulties, because once the money is turning around, you'll be paying your rent, you'll be paying your utility bills, and also paying your staff, because you're making money.
Yes, but we have to stop living out. We have to stop living out the business too. A lot of small business,
because they're not set up.
A lot of small business around here operates out of their pockets
because they're not set up properly. The principles are not up to date. I'm very, very disciplined when it comes to my business, and a lot of time people will look at me and say that why you handle that way, why you handle that way. But when I pull them on the side and I explain to them and show them my books, then they understand the reason why I do it that way. A lot of truckers, they tend to tell me, I like the way how you model your stuff, and because one time I had a problem where I had to produce documents to prove what I was saying was correct. And when I did that, I'm telling you, it's like those who were accusing me, they were so surprised that I had those documents that I could provide them with. So it's not your talk against my talk anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a lot of these small businesses, they don't have the time to, have the right professional setup and these kind of stuff. So that's where they fall. You need to have these things in place. You can't just go on because you make $10 today, you're going to spend $8 and you don't know how you're going to get the other $8 to replenish. And that's just part of the problem.
Guys, the time in studio is 10:05 p.m. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm supposed to buy some Cokes and so, but I didn't get you to that. So.
Oh, you broke? Hey, Beef, the teachers are striking. I sent you that.
Who?
The teachers are going on strike.
The teachers? For what?
The teacher. Look at your WhatsApp. I sent you.
All right. Let me just take the break, and then when we come back, we will look at that. You're listening to. I need to make the mistake again, boy. You're listening to 97.1 ZDK. Stay tuned. We will be right back.
Higher than high man. Some higher the cloud in my float man. First class to the world, me no coach man. No in my league. Watch out now. Them no in my league. No in my league. Them I put a little bit of money and weed no reason away. And I feel them a lead. No in my league. No in my league. Them too slow, them a in the lead. Man full of step like a centipede. No in my league. First thing is a thanks for the most things. Security, I have me guard. Look on me house and me yard and me windows, pit bull dog. This industry must be me girl come. God. No better than them hype and soups. Them naughty, better than dog. Me bank account gone cycle. 500 million on your cycle. You know see your slow life is a cycle. You know see me fast 10 times night. Me a do it like night. Tell them to sleep like night. Lord Jesus Christ, now sell out the God if you not be. No in my leg. No in my leg. Them I poor little bit of money and we no reach nowhere. And I say them a lead. No in my leg. Them no in my leg. Them too slow, them a invalid. Man full of step like a centipede. No in my leg. After the school at the time for devotion, them soft like lotion. Them a make scraps, we a make potion. Yes, I'm a ton river in a ocean. Some higher the cloud in my float man. First class to the world, me no coach man. From town to Mobile, every most and bust out the Kyle is a real money motion. No in my leg. No in my leg.
If you believe you may have COVID-19, stay away from other people to avoid spreading the virus and contact your doctor, especially if you have a high-risk underlying health condition. You can also call the COVID hotline at 46-COVID. That's 462-6843 for guidance. If they determine you need to be tested, they will coordinate with the appropriate public health officials to determine next steps. If you're having a medical emergency, such as difficulty breathing, call 911. Notify the operator that you have or think you might have COVID-19. If possible, put on a cloth face covering or mask before medical help arrives. Remember the 3 W's. Wash your hands, wear your mask, watch your distance. This message was brought to you by your community hospital, Mount St. John's Medical Center.
Take the following everyday steps to help avoid the spread of all respiratory viruses. Wash your hands often with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. Cover your cough or sneeze with a tissue. Throw the tissue away and then wash your hands. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects or surfaces, such as remote controls and doorknobs. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. And stay home if you are sick. Call your healthcare provider if you develop fever, cough, or difficulty breathing. There are steps you can take now to get ready if an outbreak occurs in your community. Make a household plan. Learn how to prepare and to take quick action if someone gets sick. Older adults and people with chronic medical conditions are at greater risk. Take extra steps to protect them. Think about what you will do if there are changes to your work schedule. And remember to always practice good health habits, such as frequently washing hands with soap and water, staying home when sick, and covering coughs and sneezes.
Well, a old man, a little boy, and a donkey was in some difficulty. Going to Napuna from Port of Spain, where they just complete a bargain. Old and feeble, he decided to ride, and had a little boy walking by his side. When he reached my Success Village, the crowd started shouting advantage. Old man, hey, you old criminal. Old man, you ain't got no conscience at all. Get up the jackers, you too damn advantageous. You on top the ass like a king, and the poor little boy walking. Well, the old man ready to please everybody, right?
Yes, welcome back. Hey, to Real Talk.
The boy put him on.
Hey, right here on ZDK Liberty Radio. 97.1 FM.
Go the greater side, and he gave up his.
Hey, the time now in studio.
Satisfied when he
11 minutes after the 10 p.m. hour.
Start calling him a stupid old man. Old man, hey, you doting.
Dave Beef Joseph here in the company.
Old man, like you never went to school.
And then Studio B.
The little boy, yeah.
I have with me my good buddy, the man Day Night, Sound Advice.
Hey, Beef, it is good being here in your company and your many listeners.
And also the big man, Jablaki.
Yeah, man, bless up every time, Real Talk.
Now the old man decided to please everybody. None of them must ride this donkey. So the next thing he do, he made the boy come down and both of them walking in the sun. Man, they soaking with heat of perspiration. All their ambition is to please everyone. When they reach the Quizzy again, the whole assay won't start to complain. Old man, hey, is the love of your feet. Old man, you have a jackass to ride and beat. Don't hold the tail, and they leave you should be in jail. You behind the ass suffering, and a bareback jackass walking.
All right, so let's just get into this thing now. You said that the teachers gonna take some kind of action.
Yes, industrial action. Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna sit in or what, but they're not happy at all.
Hold on there, let me see. Did you share this with Jablaki?
No.
Okay, let me share it with you, Jablaki, so that
yeah,
you'll have an idea as to what we're talking about. You know, when you're on the show, everybody have to participate. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Right down, come. Can do certain things. So it's there. Let me just download it over here now, and so that I could see it a little better.
You know, you're the industrial man here, so I pass that over to you.
All right. Let me see. AB to the Antigua and Barbuda Union Teachers Membership. Sorry about that. Let me get my mic sorted out. This is coming from Mr. Look like Conroy Charles, the president, letter expressing the possibility of industrial action. February the 10th.
Casroy Charles.
Casroy Charles, yeah, that's the name. The president, he's the president. Despite our engagement with our employers over the past months to settle outstanding contentious issues such as teacher upgrade, head of department honorarium, ex gratia payment, school security, and our 2018 to 2020 collective bargaining agreement, they continue to contribute in the spirit of good faith. Therefore, during our general meeting held on Thursday, the 9th of February 2023, the membership of the Antigua and Barbuda Union of Teachers moved a motion to engage in industrial action starting Monday the 13th, 2023. That's Monday coming. We will maintain this posture until our employer and or their affiliates engage the executive of the Antigua and Barbuda Union of Teachers and develop a plan for addressing the issue of bullet point 1, school security, quantity and quality of security, teacher upgrades, head of department honorarium / extra payment, negotiations for the 2018 to 2020 collective bargaining agreement. We are cognizant that it will take more than one meeting to garner an adequate response on these issues. Therefore, the following terms will be observed to engage all the relevant parties to develop the most appropriate response. All teachers will return to work once the Antigua and Barbuda Union of Teachers executive has been engaged by the employer and or their affiliate partners. The employer and or their affiliate partners will be granted a period of 21 days after the initial meeting to either rectify the issues or attain consensus on a proposed way forward. Respectfully, Casroy Charles, the president. All right, so that's a letter going to the membership. Apparently, they held their meeting recently. Let me just bring in this call and then I'll get back to that. Good night, caller. What am I not doing right? Okay, here it is. Good night, caller.
Hi, Beef. Good evening, Miss Weston here.
Hey, how are you doing,
I'm just calling to congratulate you on the new show.
Thank you.
And you just speak truth to power and you will not get in any problem. I see you link back up with your friend, Mr. Knight.
Oh, good night, Mr. Weston.
Good night, Mr. Knight. You're back with your friend.
I've been calling for you.
You're calling for me?
We got to talk.
I hear you. I hear you calling for me. But when you're calling for me, I'm busy working.
Okay.
Well, you link back up with your friend, so that is good.
Yeah, so you're all right?
I wish you all the best.
You're all right?
Oh, yes, I'm okay.
Okay.
It's going to make a lot of people very uneasy.
Oh, well, I will not be uneasy. As long as you speak truth to power, there's no way you can be uneasy.
All right, my dear.
Thanks. All the best to all you.
All right, thanks for calling.
All right, then.
Okay,
right.
bless. Yes, yeah, that's Miss Weston there. Yeah, this is a letter from the from the president to his members, and he would have said they would have held a meeting on the 9th, I believe he said, general meeting, and a motion was passed, and he is working according to the motion that was passed.
Yeah. But it seemed like if the Observer 2 hours ago, the Director of Education, Claire Brown, responded to the threats of strike action by teachers. It is unfortunate that we are here, given numerous engagements of the Ministry of Education with the Antigua and Barbuda Union of Teachers and our teachers' effort, evidently by actions already in progress, but not captioned in the communication cited. The ministry must continue to engage the union and work aggressively with other necessary government departments as we seek to bring swift resolution to the matter. Another urgent meeting is set for Monday morning with the executive of the Antigua and Barbuda Teachers Union.
Okay, so
so he responded.
All right.
Yeah.
So then that still means that they probably might not be having school on Monday. Well, at least if they have school, maybe the teachers won't be teaching, because if I'm to go by the letter,
sounds like a sit-in.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And he would have
tools down.
The president would have indicated that the membership will return to work, having had that meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And to see what comes out of that meeting. Now, why did it have to reach to that? To have an urgent meeting on Monday.
Why? Because I guess the teachers the union is united with their workers, with their membership.
No, I'm just saying, reading the just reading. I haven't had the sight of that as yet, right? The one that you have there. But just reading what the union is saying. They obviously are saying that there have not been no meeting. That's why they believe that they have to move to that.
So you're saying why is the sudden meeting now on Monday?
Well, of course, the meeting is as a result
of the industrial action,
of the pending industrial action.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just saying, why does it have to reach to that stage to just get the negotiations going? I never really understand why these things happen. Though. I never really understand why these things happen. Just reading what the gentleman said, he seems reasonable to me. He says that he recognizes that it is not going to take one meeting. It will be more than one meeting, and it's going to be a long process. But it seems as if there's some frustration that nothing is happening
because
the teams might not be meeting and having negotiations.
It seems as if these were concerns that were derelict a long time.
Like 2018.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
2018 to 2020. So that's a 3-year contract. You mean that when they done finish off this, they're going to write to the next one?
Yeah.
You understand?
Yes.
Because there will be 2 contracts behind, according to this letter.
Yeah.
If I'm reading it correctly. All right. Well, parents, get the word around. I don't know what's going to happen on Monday.
Well, you heard it here first.
It seems as if there's going to be a sit-in. Thank you very much for the information, Mr. Knight.
Mm-hmm.
Seems as if there's going to be a sit-in, so, things are kind of mystic right now with the school on the school plant. So take heed.
And this is for all public schools?
Yeah, secondary and
government schools.
All government
schools, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Secondary and primary schools.
Okay, so
they found that old lady, the senior citizen that was at the police station.
Yeah.
She found her family.
Oh, praise the Lord for that.
Yeah, that was going around too.
Praise the Lord for that. I'm glad.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad for that.
What about the gentleman?
No, they haven't befriend. No.
And I know him now.
Then they find befriend yet.
Oh man, I'm so caught up over that. Murphy, I haven't seen him in a while. Nice, a soft-spoken gentleman. Lived in New Windrops.
Mm-hmm.
I hope. Oh man, boy, this life is something else. Anyway,
are we gonna have a show alone for the state-sponsored trafficking?
Are we gonna have a show alone?
Yeah, just for that. I'm just asking.
I don't know about that. That's a work in progress. We'll see how that works out.
We'll see how that. Cause that's what I call it,
But
you hear me?
Talking about that's the next thing I wanted to touch. The whole I refer to it as the African saga. That's what I refer to it as.
I boost it up to state-sponsored trafficking.
Well, me not get to that as yet. Because I don't think that we have had enough information as yet from government, in my opinion. So I'll kind of hold my sway on that until certain things happen. But
wet your hand and wait for the information.
It was brought to my attention this afternoon, as a matter of fact, that Sir Vivian Richards would have made some statements about it, and I went and I got the statement. So let me share it.
Mine get cost.
Morning to the crew.
Morning to Viv.
Morning
to Viv.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good. What's up?
Judge, you were away for a while, man.
Yeah,
Missed you.
yeah. I'm good.
You're well rejuvenated. Well.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah.
Well, you know that little discussion that you guys had earlier in connection with our African brothers and sisters being here. Nothing really wrong with them being here,
No.
Nothing wrong at all. But what I think you guys suggested also that there's some circumstances went down. I don't know whether I was listening to the wrong station or whatever, but from my account, from what I would have heard, that these folks were here for different reasons and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Yes.
And what I don't think people, there's a lot of folks who are just basically running away from the whole and trying to put a twist on this whole stuff. I don't think people are really worried about the fact that our African brothers and sisters are here. Is the fact, the circumstances.
Yeah.
Okay? And I think it needs some explanation. We've heard some DB sort of explanation from in England. Try to run away from the fact by saying that you are lying. There's some porcupine stove. you know? So let's not change this whole subject. We have nothing against African brothers and sisters. Nothing whatsoever. And people should understand that. But, folks, because of what support and all that stuff, they're trying to bring another so-called argument into this whole story, which is not, and we should stop it. You know what I mean?
True. Yeah, really
we should stop it.
We need to stop it. And you know the bad part is that the Africans are caught in the middle, eh?
Well, when you hear, it's a fact. Who the ones who are mistreated more than anything else? Are the ones who are supposed to be somewhere else?
Yes.
But they are here. You know what I mean?
Right.
And not only that, Sir Viv, they came here on a plane bearing Antigua's name.
Thank you so much. So I saw the stuff at the airport, the people who went to meet them greet. There was this big fiasco stuff, and then all of a sudden, this. So I guess, listen, I would like some explanation as well. So I don't know why folks are running away from the whole argument.
I have no idea either.
You know, I would like so. I like. There's a lot of sensitive people in this country who would like, you know, the DBDB sort of so-called explanation and views that we are getting. It is not clear.
True.
Okay, so that's all I got to say, guys.
Thank you very much, Savil.
Okay, that's the first time. Well, second time when I downloaded it, I was listening a bit. Okay.
I like Sir Viv comments. We need more information, like you said, on this whole saga, and I am with Sir Viv with those comments.
All right. Any John Blackie, before I go to another recording, because I want to also play what I suspect is the position of the United Progressive Party on this issue. I think that position was articulated by Franz. I want to share that also. But any comments, John Blackie?
Beef, I would have heard also of this whole saga and listened to both sides, all the sides. And just like what Sir Viv is saying, I believe that this is a conversation that should be had. You know, we need to speak about these things. We need answers. There's so much answers. In fact, I heard one individual stated that their intentions were to come to Antigua, go on to Suriname, then on to Mexico, and enter the United States by car. And when I heard that, I was saying to myself, this can't be no good entry, a real proper entry into a country. No one can enter a country properly by driving into the country. If you cross the borders by driving, you have to have the proper documents to prove that as well.
Okay, all right. Let me go with where is it now? Where is it? Here. Let's go with this one here.
Antigua and Barbuda is at the center of an unfolding international saga of astounding proportions. Hundreds of Africans, mainly from Nigeria and the Cameroon, were transported to Antigua and Barbuda, most of them on board charter flights operated by Antigua Airways, a business enterprise in which the government has a 20% stake. The United Progressive Party is mounting a picket protest outside the office of the Prime Minister this morning to highlight the horrid way in which this entire matter was handled and to call for a public inquiry into this latest scandal. We have in the studio one of the organizers of that picket protest this morning, entrepreneur, social and political activist, UPP candidate, UPP hopeful, and the talk show host, Franz de Freitas. And he's going to tell us all about it. Good morning, Franz, and welcome to Observer AM.
Good morning, Dr. Quinn. It's a privilege and a pleasure to be here with you this morning.
How you feel to be on that side of, of the microphone?
This is my normal chair. That's how I sat here.
It is your normal chair, but this time you're not asking the questions and you're not hosting.
Certainly.
Okay, so tell us, Franz, what would have initiated this action being taken by your party this morning?
Let me just say, first of all, to start, just to dispel the perception and the rumors that the United Progressive Party is a pro-immigrant party. The policies that our party have put forward and proposed are progressive policies as it relates to immigration, and most recently in Antigua and Barbuda, the One Caribbean policy that the United Progressive Party proffered in the past elections here. But when you see injustice happening, as a party, we put people first, And the actions of the United Progressive Party in mounting this picket is to call attention to the human trafficking that is affecting our African brothers and sisters. I want you to understand, Dr. Quinn, that our African brothers and sisters are victims of our government. They are not people who we are fighting against. They are the ones right now that have been mistreated, abused, and taken advantage of. We are standing up to say this is wrong. It is wrong for those coming from Africa. It would be wrong for anybody else. And we must make a stand when we see injustice happening in Antigua and Barbuda.
Now, we heard the Prime Minister say to this nation prior to the arrival of the first flight on November 1st, on Independence Day, that these were to be wealthy Africans looking to invest or to spend a luxury vacation in Antigua and Barbuda. Was the Prime Minister of this country up full with this nation on this matter?
No. Gaston Brown is a liar, Dr. Quinn. He, Melford Nicholas, Cutie Benjamin, the new minister responsible for immigration, Max Fernandez, the minister of tourism, who all tried to make us believe first that the Africans were investors, then they were low-end tourists, now they are refugees needing the help of Antigua and Barbuda. The people in the ABLP have their hands in a debacle that is quickly eating them up. And they are now trying every effort right now to shake this prospect of human trafficking, but they can't, because they are responsible for it. They are involved in it from the very top. And we must say in Antigua and Barbuda, people are not stupid. People don't sit back and just accept nonsense when it is plain in your face. And Gaston Brown is a liar. He is not telling the truth in Antigua and Barbuda relative to what transpired for our African brothers and sisters.
All right, I'm not going to go with the entire interview, but just to get a sense as to what was being said in relation to the UPP's position. I believe, as they were, I think that interview was on the morning of, when was the picket? Was it Wednesday, Thursday? It wasn't Friday. It was yesterday, was it? The picket that they had on outside the Prime Minister's office. It wasn't
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Why so long?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So that interview was on that particular day. You know what? Before I entertain the discussion. Now, by the way, okay, let me just go to the line one time. Good night, caller.
Brief it up.
Right up. Hello? Hello?
Brief.
Hi.
Yes, good night.
What is St. John's caller?
I haven't heard you for a long time.
Hey, how are you doing, St. John's caller?
Yeah, man.
Oh.
You know, I just want to say is that the issue is that some of us is weary. I mean, the whole point about it. We need to get, you know, at first, they came in to vote. And we all must be clear that this is a real talk. I'm just proposing, if the Antigua Barbuda Party, they win by 14 or even 17, you would be the Africans. Okay? But now, they lose, they won by 1. Okay? And the issue now, it comes to human. My issue here that is bothering me, beef, is the garbage. This is our country. And let us get to do things properly. We don't stay in the name of this nation that you want to run. I quite agree with their part. None of us is perfect. And I personally believe that people, who said they are patriotic, they are anti-gun should stop. They're ignorant. Look at ways where we can build this nation. Look at problems that is around and let us all as one. And I'm saying it's a lesson for this nation. God bless this nation. And wow.
St. John.
I'm going to catch myself properly because me wonder where you, but me not ask no question because I know you're a person of your own.
Before you go.
You do things and you don't come and blaspheme nobody. And Western said something that I agree with him, but 20 people takes it out of context. This is not a time to talk about ignorance. Let us look about the poorer class. Get things done where it is. You understand, because it's a serious thing affecting our lives. And I think that the Justice Department within this country should hold some people responsible, bring deep proof of what they're saying. Bring the proof and put them to punish.
Carlo.
We're glad to hear you.
Before you go, let me ask a question. You there?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Is it reasonable to say that we both understood that our African brothers who were supposed to be coming, they were supposed to be coming as tourists? We can agree. Our African brothers who were to come before they came, they were supposed to come as tourists. Huh? Are we on the same page with that? Right.
Yes.
All right. Well, just like how I would have seen what would have developed, you would have seen what would have developed. What do you think should happen?
I personally believe that we should have. I think that the Minister of Foreign Affairs should go out and see what is happening. It needs an investigation outside, also inside. And the persons them that are here, let us see your qualification, what it is. Let us find out what is happening.
That people are.
Because I personally believe that there was a loophole where is. There was a loop. Where is that? I mean, if people is here, if people come here as investors, as the first thing that was said, okay, the plane went back and others come. So I personally believe they scam somewhere along there. I think the government needs to pull these sacks up, pull it up. Let us find out exactly what is happening to protect the reputation of this nation.
All right, man. Thanks much.
Okay.
All right. Take care, my friend. Okay. Yes. So I would have gone to that. There's one more thing that I want to look at before we have that chat. Because just like in labor relations, sometimes some terms are used, right? And these terms, they have a particular meaning, you know. You hear terms like human trafficking, refugee. Somebody told me today, refugee tourists, right? That's somebody used that term to me.
Low income tourists.
Right.
One minister said on another program, they're looking to exploit the low income tourism so the small hotels can be filled.
All right. Let me play this. Where is it? Where is it? That's it. No, this one here. This one.
Around the globe, there are approximately 60 million people who have been forced to leave their homes to escape war, violence, and persecution. The majority of them have become internally displaced persons, which means they have fled their homes but are still within their own countries. Others have crossed a border and sought shelter outside of their own countries. They are commonly referred to as refugees. But what exactly does that term mean? The world has known refugees for millennia, but the modern definition was drafted in the UN's 1951 Convention relating to the status of refugees in response to mass persecutions and displacements of the Second World War. It defines a refugee as someone who is outside their country of nationality and is unable to return to their home country because of well-founded fears of being persecuted. That persecution may be due to their race, religion, nationality, membership in a particular social group, or political opinion, and is often related to war and violence. Today, roughly half the world's refugees are children, some of them unaccompanied by an adult, a situation that makes them especially vulnerable to child labor or sexual exploitation. Each refugee's story is different, and many must undergo dangerous journeys with uncertain outcomes. But before we get to what their journeys involve, let's clear one thing up. There's a lot of confusion regarding the difference between the terms migrant and refugee. Migrants usually refers to people who leave their country for reasons not related to persecution, such as searching for better economic opportunities or leaving drought-stricken areas in search of better circumstances. There are many people around the world who have been displaced because of natural disasters, food insecurities, and other hardships. But international law, rightly or wrongly, only recognizes those fleeing conflict and violence as refugees. So what happens when someone flees their country? Most refugee journeys are long and perilous, with limited access to shelter, water, or food. Since the departure can be sudden and unexpected, belongings might be left behind, and people who are evading conflict often do not have the required documents like visas to board airplanes and legally enter other countries. Financial and political factors can also prevent them from traveling by standard routes. This means they can usually only travel by land or sea and may need to entrust their lives to smugglers to help them cross borders. Whereas some people seek safety with their families, others attempt passage alone and leave their loved ones behind with the hopes of being reunited later. This separation can be traumatic and unbearably long. While more than half the world's refugees are in cities, sometimes the first stop for a person fleeing conflict is a refugee camp, usually run by the United Nations Refugee Agency or local governments. Refugee camps are intended to be temporary structures, offering short-term shelter until inhabitants can safely return home, be integrated to the host country, or resettle in another country. But resettlement and long-term integration options are often limited. So many refugees are left with no choice but to remain in camps for years and sometimes even decades. Once in a new country, the first legal step for a displaced person is to apply for asylum. At this point, they're an asylum seeker and not officially recognized as a refugee until the application has been accepted. While countries by and large agree on one definition of refugee, every host country is responsible for examining all requests for asylum and deciding whether applicants can be granted the status of refugee. Different countries' guidelines can vary substantially. Host countries have several duties towards people they have recognized as refugees, like the guarantee of a minimum standard of treatment and non-discrimination. The most basic obligation towards refugees is non-refoulement, a principle preventing a nation from sending an individual to a country where their life and freedom are threatened. In reality, however, refugees are frequently the victims of inconsistent and discriminatory treatment. They are increasingly obliged to rebuild their lives in the face of xenophobia and racism. And all too often, they aren't permitted to enter the workforce and are fully dependent on humanitarian aid, In addition, far too many refugee children are out of school due to lack of funding for education programs. If you go back in your own family history, chances are you will discover that at a certain point, your ancestors were forced from their homes, either escaping a war or fleeing discrimination and persecution. It would be good of us to remember their stories when we hear of refugees currently displaced, searching for a new home.
So, having heard that, what are we dealing with? In your opinion, human trafficking or refugee situation?
Well, if you want me to go first, what I would have gleaned is that the definition for a human trafficker and an immigrant is totally different. An immigrant is one that left his country for bettering his life purposes, so on, and is barred from any prosecution, so to speak. But the other individual who is a human trafficker, he's prone to these laws, broken laws. He can be prosecuted. Yeah.
Got that. I have that opinion also. Knight?
For me, I would say like Saviv. This needs an inquiry. The people need more information because what we were told in the beginning is not what is happening now. I don't want to class them as no refugee, no migrants. They came here as tourists, investors. You understand me? That's what was told by us, by our government. If our government came to us and said, look, we have some people in Cameroon, we have some people in Nigeria, they're fleeing their country, we're going to help them, give them asylum, whatever. You understand? Then I'll put them in a bracket. But we were told as citizens of this country that we are developing a route from Africa to Antigua, Antigua to Africa. Mm-hmm. If Antiguans wants to go there, that is what our government said to us. Yes. So I'm not classing them in no refugee or whatever. The government said that they will help them.
It's not a class. He asked you, having heard that, what would you say? So
no, but that is not pertaining to what we have here. That is not pertaining to what we have here. We were told by our government. Remember, our government went into business with this airline. We were supposed to we gave the business people 10 passports. CIP passports, so we invested in the business. So the government cannot separate themselves. What should have happened, in my humble opinion, after the government find out that this thing has gone haywire, they should have stepped in and have our tourism department look facilities for these people to go to. Instead of having this thing blown up, have buses, because we have school buses, we have all kind of transportation here to carry the people back and forth, and then you decide whether you're sending them back. If they cannot connect where they're going, is either sending them back or you're agreeing to have them stay here. So that's why I said the state is involved in this.
All right. That's your opinion.
That's my opinion.
If my memory serves me correctly, it was from the first flight that I thought we had problems. Because I remember individuals saying on the 1st of November, when the flight came in, they saw these Africans trying to purchase food. And they couldn't even purchase food. Basic stuff like food. So it was from the first flight that we encountered problems. Yeah.
All right. I actually did a live in relation to this. I refer to it as the African Saga, and I too share the opinion that there should be some sort of an inquiry. But you see, a lot of things is being said, a lot of persons are talking, and to me, this inquiry would clarify a lot for us.
Yeah.
Indeed.
My understanding is that the airline that's involved is not the Antiguan Airways. That's my understanding.
When you would have understood that?
From ever since.
From ever since?
Yes. It's not the, follow me good, it's not the Antiguan Airways. The
Earpiece.
Is Earpiece?
Yes, the second one is Earpiece.
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
That is what I said. An inquiry would clarify all of this, right?
Understood, yeah.
But I would have heard that from government.
Yes, but a lot of people, remember, they came out and said that they're getting into partnership with
no, hold on, take a time. Let's go slowly. Right, let's go slowly. The arrangement that our government had with Antiguan Airways.
the first flight,
No, that's not going to the first flight. Antiguan Airways. That was the one that came in on
November 1st.
The first, right.
Yes, the first flight.
Right.
Mhm.
That arrangement was to form an air bridge from Africa to Antigua.
Right.
And in that entity, we had a 20% stake.
Yes.
Right? I think we had given some CIP passports
Mhm.
that represented the value of about 20%.
Yeah.
All right. There seemed to now have been, what we're told, another plane that
Another company.
right?
Mhm.
Right. Nothing to do with Antigua Airways, that brought persons here with the intention of moving them on. That's my understanding. Again, the inquiry will clarify that. Where I have an issue, and I was listening to, I don't remember who it was that had the discussion. I would have to go back to the recording. But they were saying, the person was saying that if you're coming to Antigua, if somebody's coming to Antigua to move on, I think it was on the big issue, the discussion was, to move from Antigua to, let's call it any country. Let me not call it, right.
Anyway.
That person would have had to satisfy our immigration here of certain things before they board the next flight. Right? That is my understanding for what was being said.
So they're in transit.
Basically.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if that is true, is it that the immigration department don't know what to do?
They drop the ball, or they're taking directive from higher.
The inquiry will tell us that. That's why I'm saying that we ought to have we need to have an inquiry. Because if they're saying that as an immigration officer, you're coming to Antigua to move on to someplace, you would have to satisfy immigration here before you can even board.
Yeah.
Now remember these persons now who are here, the interview that we would have heard, they would have come here to stay for 2 days and then to move on for whatever, that's what they said. But how, if the immigration officers are supposed to satisfy this, how did we now get to a situation where they can't go on? Because now somebody said that somebody asked them for a further $2,000. I think the gentleman in the interview said they asked them for further $2,000 that they don't have. How did that happen between them?
Now, is this coming from both flights?
My understanding is it's not the Antiguan Airways flight. That's my understanding.
No, it's Airpiece. The Antigua Airways did not get the approval to fly into Antigua as the first flight came as a charter. All right. Remember, they're sitting waiting.
Something to do with LIAT. There's some kind of agreement that.
No, the Eastern Caribbean aviation people. They're waiting on the approval, according to our government and our ministers. They're waiting on approval from either IATA or
But they
they
weren't supposed to be doing something piggybacking, for want of another word.
On LIAT.
On LIAT.
That came out after to let it sound good. But LIAT has its issues itself.
Okay, let me ask you another question. In total, how many flights have come here? How many Antiguan Airways flights?
As far as I know, it came twice.
Twice.
Yeah, because they came back for some people.
Okay, so then in essence it's just one then, because they would have come.
Left,
and they would have stayed
they
for a
come,
while, and then
it can't be one flight.
No, well, for my purposes.
For your purposes.
They would have brought 200, just to call a figure, 200 people.
Yes.
And then they would have come back to carry back those 200 people.
Yes.
Question whether if the 200 people went back, we don't
know.
No,
not at all.
All right. How many Airpeace flights now came in?
According for what people are saying, I haven't had the official from any person at the airport. Is either 2 or 3.
Okay, so more Airpeace flights would have come,
yes,
as opposed to
yes.
Okay, so the number that we would have heard some time ago of Africans here, 600 and something or 700 something, those would have been persons who would have come on the Airpeace flight. Airpeace flight.
Yeah.
All right, and those persons would have come with the intention of staying here for 2 days and then moving on.
Yes, I saw a lot of them in front of that travel agent. Right there by 24 hours.
Yes, I heard people say that.
Yeah, I saw it for myself.
Right.
I saw it for myself.
So then the issue now, I'm still I'm for the inquiry. I think we need to have an inquiry and investigation. We need to know what is what, because as you so correctly said, right? We were told, Antigua and Barbuda was told that there were persons coming as tourists. I'm not getting into. I hear people talking about people against Africans. White people come and this and blah blah. I'm not getting into that foolish talk.
You can't get into that.
You know why that is foolish talk, Beef?
Hold on there. And why I'm not getting in that foolish talk, right? Because I hear some people, well, they have some warped mind, so I mean it doesn't surprise me when I'm hearing certain things, right? Why I'm not gonna get sidetracked? They're not gonna pull me down that side. The issue is not about, as you correctly said, it's not about the Africans, and if the government had come and said, this is the case, this is the case. The issue was, this is what we were told. Right? And there are some Antiguans get scared to talk about immigration. I don't care.
And I don't know why.
Right? I don't care. I have nothing against no non-national.
Yeah, man.
None.
Yeah, man.
Right? We have gone to other places.
Yeah, man.
There's no problem with that. But if you're going to accommodate non-nationals to the detriment of those who live here, and I'm talking about now, the pressures that the country is under to maintain its social services as it is now.
Yeah.
Right? And then you're going to tell me, oh, well, so white people come, so I would absorb them, so 600 black people come, I will absorb them. That's foolish talking to me.
But who white people come and now absorb them?
Right? That's foolish talking to me. I learned, and Alexander say, of all my mother's children, I love myself the most.
I would have heard of some of them saying that Syrians fleeing from Syria coming here.
I'm not getting into that because I only know they know that.
But listen, have you ever heard of that?
I've never heard of it. I know about maybe even before COVID. There was an issue where I think there were some Syrian people. I think some American representative might have made a statement about
this congressman. On the right.
I think there was about 11 or something like that.
Yes.
Some people, well.
And the body Mikosi.
We were told that they would have been here to make whatever applications they have to make, and then they would have been resettled elsewhere. Quite recently, I would have heard somebody say that of the total, a few of them stayed here with family members. I don't remember. I think it might have been somebody. Somebody said that.
Yeah.
Right?
Let me ask you.
Outside of that, I have never heard.
But how they got here? Was it done the same way?
No, through St. Martin.
Who?
A lot of them.
How the Syrians got here?
No, it wasn't the same way.
It was the same way how the Africans got here?
No, I don't think so.
How can it be the same? How can
you see, I am not entertaining that discussion with anybody now. They're not going to tell me, I'm not getting caught up in that.
Move on.
I'm not getting caught up in that. Right?
And the way the congressman spoke is like something that's been happening for a while.
Well, and I read another piece someplace where it was said in the newspaper recently that ONDCB might not have shared certain things with the public. So it seems as if they've had spot. I think there was some kind of somebody was held just recently, bringing in some passengers, some people there, about a week or two ago. And I remember the article saying that the ONDCP might not have said certain things because of security reasons and blah, 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 blah.
Mhm.
So, seems as if there's an issue there. But my issue is, if somebody is coming to Antigua to move through Antigua, they have to satisfy immigration.
Yes.
Then I want to know, to me, there's a fallout in between. If most of these persons who would have come on earpiece would have been coming for 2 days to then move on.
And who gave Airpeace the okay?
Well, it has to be government.
Right.
Because you can't bring in 2 or 3 flights, as you said,
Mhm.
and then just drop in.
Let me ask
So
you-
there had to be, if not, when I say the government, now I'm talking about the agencies of government. You
Yes.
know what I mean? That's what I would believe.
Mr. Knight, let me ask this, Mr. Knight. Have you ever heard of individuals traveling to another country and receiving visa on arrival?
Yes, the countries that
Have you
does
ever
that.
heard of that?
Yeah, there are countries that.
I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
there are countries
This
that.
is the first time I'm hearing about it, and it's with these Africans. I understand it's when they arrive here, they receive the visa.
Yeah, there are some countries that do that.
Well, I just believe that persons, if anybody might want to call in to contribute again, the number is 462-1100. I always want to make sure that I say that so that I don't want persons to believe that if they want to, you know what I mean, make a contribution, they're being prevented. Once you're not being slanderous, 462-1100. That's the number to get on air. As I said, for me, there needs to be some sort of a inquiry, some sort of an investigation.
Independent too. Say independent.
I don't have a problem with that either. I don't have a
Mhm.
problem with that either. I would have heard the Minister of Information indicated on Thursday, I believe, of the post-cabinet briefing. The UPP is encouraging and pushing for that discussion to take place in Parliament, where the opposition elected members would have a say. And the minister would have said, basically, immigration matters are matters for the government, so we don't need to speak to the opposition. If that's going to be the position of the minister, all the thing that I could say, we just came out of an election where persons gave them the government. Good night, caller.
Good night.
Uh-huh.
Hey. Hey, good night, man.
Hey, good night, sir. How are you doing?
Yell up.
Yeah, good night to you and your guest there, Mr. Knight and Brother Beef.
Hey, what's up?
2 things that really stand out that to me, that personally, I know how I don't look at it, but how can you have an airline named Antigua Airline outside of Antigua? That makes sense, my virgin?
Well, they were supposed to have an office here up at the airport.
Yeah, but in respect of that night, you can have an airline named Antigua Airline outside the country? That ever happened anywhere else?
Well, according to the officials, they would have set up one of their headquarters here at the airport in the old wing. That's
Basically, what you're asking, or the impression that you get, caller, when an airline is known as Antigua Airways, you would believe that it would be
the headquarters
majority owned by Antigua, basically.
That's what me talk about. And the whole basis and the foundation is supposed to be, if a government, you know what I mean, so it's supposed to be. We have outside entities. And then the other thing, this fictitious name, Marvelous Mike, that don't make no sense, Rasta. You just throw that overboard. That is just fictitious. That is just something about that not sound right.
I got you.
Well, you have private sector. You have private sector entities, which this is, which government is partner with.
No. What he's saying. No. What he's saying.
That name. Not for an airline. Nah.
If the name of the airline is Antiguan Airways, you would want to believe that the Antigua would be the majority shareholder. Not that you can have private entities in it, as opposed to the reverse way. Where private interests dominate or has 80% of the shares. That's what the gentleman is saying. That's what I understand him to be saying.
Yeah, but the name and the outside thing with Antigua, it just, to me, it just, no. It don't make no sense, man. It's a folly.
All right, caller, thanks much.
Thanks, my brother.
But Beef, what I want to add to this, is that we have to remember from since 9/11, all borders, whether our ports, they had to change the way we do things. And if we're going to be open sesame and so slack with what we're doing, other countries are going to close down their borders to us.
And that has happened, because that is why the Caribbean countries began to require visas of these Africans coming through.
Just the other day, Beef.
Hold a second for me. Good night, caller.
Hello, good night. I'm calling in regards to the visa on arrival situation that the last guy was asking about. There are instances where UK, US, Canadian, and another country can get visa on arrival. African countries are not one of the countries that can get visa on arrival here in Antigua. And when I read through the laws of the country surrounding the visa on arrival, these people do not satisfy any of the requirements. For example, we would have heard that they are having a little money issues in regards to fending for themselves while they're here. And even the guy that did the interview with Miss Quinn talks about the money issue. One of the requirements is that they're able to take care of themselves while they're here. So some of the requirements in regards to our law do not support giving them visa on arrival. So I'm still not sure why they got the visa on arrival. The other issue, as a young person in this country, I feel like we're being fed all kind of different hearsays from different parties. The Prime Minister would have came out and basically given us this grand scheme of rich investors coming to Antigua, and so I'm calling on the Prime Minister to come back out now and tell us the truth. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your call, caller. And I'm just looking at the what's happening here, boy? What did I do wrong? Okay. I'm just looking at the board. Somebody says here, let's not overlook that the government has a responsibility to assist anyone who is seeking asylum when their lives are in danger. The Africans are in that position. And Chris Stevens, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, but they're not seeking asylum.
No, well,
we haven't heard that.
No, well, coming out of the interview, right? Coming out of the interview, it did come out from the gentleman that the youths in Cameroon were being targeted because they're the ones who they see as putting up the resistance as opposed to the elders. The person did say that. So that's a layer that was added afterwards. Afterwards, right? The question still to me is, if you have said to us that we're bringing tourists here, how do we end up with refugees?
Asylum seekers.
Because that's why I played the first part with the differentiation between.
Yes.
Because it is when the persons in them would have reached there, or reached to whichever port they were, that they would have then
the different categories.
apply for the asylum. And I would have heard a discussion with somebody someplace on the radio where they're saying persons would have left the Cameroons to Nigeria. Why didn't they seek asylum in Nigeria?
Right.
And I would have heard. But I just want to say that is something that would have come after the fact.
But I would have heard also that they knew nothing of Antigua. It's only when they went to Nigeria.
The gentleman said that.
They heard of Antigua.
Because again, going from the number of flights that came in from what's the name of the company, the second plane? Airpeace. They're consistent. We've heard consistently from them that they were only supposed to be here for 2 days.
Yes.
They were only supposed to be here in Antigua for 2 days, and then move on. So when they left where they were going, where they're coming from, they did not leave with the understanding that they'll be stuck here in Antigua.
Understood.
The whole other thing again with asylum now came afterwards when Caribbean Islands shut their borders. They can't go no further, right? Then you hear, well, look, we can't go back. We can't go back to Cameroon because whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, to my mind, to go back to the discussion we're having with the Syrians at the time, right? Our government have announced that they would want to probably look at a situation where they could legislate these our African brothers and sisters to stay here to be absorbed into our society. That seems to be what the government.
And that will go back to your first comment of the resources of the state.
That's true, right? But I'm just saying, to me, if my understanding of what had happened with the Syrians and them would have happened, if it's determined that we can't send them back to a situation where they're going to lose their life, they're seeking asylum, why don't we have them resettled someplace else, as we're doing with the Syrians?
Yeah.
Because I would want to assume that the Syrians who stayed here had had families here who could have assisted them.
Yes.
These persons are going to become a charge on the state, a charge on taxpayers.
Well, it already is.
Right? A charge on taxpayers. And where the
is our government paying for certain guest house?
I don't know if the government is paying. There might be some. I learned today that there might be some level of collaboration, but I can't say that government is paying.
Should we inquire? Maybe that need to be in the inquiry too.
I agree.
Maybe.
I agree with that. That could be discussed
Maybe.
also, right? But I'm just saying, for those persons in the society who black conscious, right, and believe that or have their opinion in relation to Africa and that kind of stuff, I don't have a problem with those persons, right? But now live your dream on my money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now live your dream. What you believe, what lifestyle you might practice, what religion you might practice. Now live that on my money. Live that on your money. I want to repeat that so that they hear. I'm not getting into the Africa and this and the Shiki and all that kind of stuff. Right?
But that's totally irrelevant.
Me be a Rastafari.
That's totally irrelevant, my brother.
Me shave today.
That's totally irrelevant.
All I'm saying, those persons who may hear my radio talk about
beef.
Africa, hold on.
Go ahead.
About Africa this, and Africa that, and Africa this. Because they have their view, or their opinion, or their vision of Africa. I don't have a problem with that. Use for your money.
But you just got a call. We just got a call a while.
That's my position on that.
But beef. Go ahead, Joblaki. Go ahead,
We just got a call a while ago who was saying that people are not patriotic and the government need to do something with laws to let them stop talking and these kind of stuff. But when you engaged him and you asked him
the whole story around.
What
he said the same thing we're saying.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just hard to believe that people don't understand what we're saying.
You don't take out the emotion.
They deliberate, man.
It's not that they do not understand what we're saying. They're taking a party line.
It's deliberately done.
Yes, they're taking a party line to a feel-good moment then. They don't care. It's a feel-good moment. But what is happening, Beef, just the other day, Biden, the president of Mexico, either the prime minister, the president of Mexico, and Justin Trudeau, okay? They all met. And you know what was the number one topic on their agenda?
Immigration.
Immigration and their borders. And they have come together, Beef.
Go ahead.
They have come together. Mexico, Canada, and America. You understand me? You notice the third border. Who is the third border? The Caribbean. Wasn't invited to that meeting. So if the third border is going to have an open sesame, what do you think going to happen to us? When these three borders, Canada, Mexico, and America, North America, is meeting to shut down their borders more, what do you think going to happen to us?
Good night, caller.
Thank you.
Hello, good night, caller.
Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening.
Bless it.
This is my first time listening to your show. But I'm concerned as to, I don't want to deviate, but when we have our tourist boat coming in, is there a tax done by the arrivals or by the departures for each individual tourist?
I believe it might be arrival. It might be arrival.
Yes.
Might be arrival.
Yeah. Okay, I'm concerned as to whether or not these Africans guests were taxed.
Good question. Good question. Question to ministers.
We would have to do a little investigation,
sure
or hopefully, if there's an inquiry, all this information would come out.
But Beef, it is done through a ticket at the airport, so it was incorporated into their ticket to Antigua.
Who collect? Who collect? 1 second, sir. Who collect that tax?
The airline.
Airline does.
I'm guided.
If I may, with your permission, give me another second. The gentleman prior to the lady who spoke said that the Air Antigua, they came upon Air Antigua. If there is an Air Antigua, should the headquarters be located in Antigua?
Some persons are of that opinion.
Okay. Then why was it named Air Antigua? I'm not sure. I'm confused.
Antigua Airways.
I'm not sure either, my friend.
Okay. All right, sir. Well, gentlemen, it's a pleasure speaking to you, and thank you for speaking to me, and have a pleasant evening.
Oh, yourself too.
Thank you.
Okay, bless. Oh, yes.
So just I must look for the record. I must look for the interview, Beef, and send it to you.
What? Which interview?
The one with Biden, Mexico, and Canada. Yeah. It was just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, just about 2 weeks ago.
They had a conference. I think it's the first time they're meeting in a long time.
And listen, let me tell you this, Mr. Knight.
Mm-hmm.
You see this border business with America and Mexico? This ain't not yesterday sub now.
No.
A long time. Look, just the other day I was watching CNN. And a whole slew of people was coming over the wall. Literally jumping over the wall, you know. And they had the border patrols there watching them coming over. And they just sent in about 5 helicopters and some vehicle on the ground. And they stopped every one of them from entering, you know. They already jump over the wall. And they just stop them from there, hold them there, and just whatsoever they do, they send them back. They send them back. They never got opportunity to enter the country.
Yeah, this border issue is a very, very serious thing. And if we're the third border into these countries, we have to be very, very careful because it have repercussion for the ordinary citizens who wants to travel outside of Antigua and Barbuda.
I agree with you. It is. And we will see. We will see. Apart from hearing Minister Melford Nicholas, we'll just have to wait and watch and see. Actions, the Progressive Party would have started to try to bring a section of the populace together to get some answers on this. Parliament hasn't been sworn in yet. I think that's coming up. That's coming up
the 17th.
Soon for now. Mm-hmm. Who knows what's going to happen when that's in session, whether or not questions will be put, whether we'll be any the wiser. Having heard that, I don't know. But yeah, let us see what happens. Let us keep the discussion going.
Have you heard anything from the chief immigration, so to speak?
No, I haven't heard nothing from the I think her name is Miss Yearwood.
I'm not familiar.
I think that's the name, yes. No, I haven't heard nothing from her.
Oh, Beef, time is flying on us, boy. I'm telling you.
I'm going to take a little break because there's one more topic that I want to touch. I want to leave from here maybe about by 11:30. I want to touch a little bit on APUA and the water situation.
Yeah.
So when we come back, we will just touch on that and then we will wrap up and get out of here.
So in that issue that the gentleman raised, all the taxes are paid when you buy your ticket, Beef.
Well, I'm taking your word for it.
Yes, the taxes are collected when you can see the breakdown. The taxes, and so Antigua is a very expensive port. When you see you can do you can click on the breakdown of the taxes.
So Antigua would have collected.
So you see most.
So then, if Antigua would have collected taxes on these tickets, and it was said that they would have to have information on going forward. How come they're here still?
Good question.
You're listening to 97.1 ZDK Liberty Radio. We will be right back.
impossible. Could corrupt a whole world, right in peace in jail. Like some foods us find out, it does never last. Cause money can't buy your class. What does look like gold sometimes is brass, Lord. Money can't buy your class. So the rich is so they gross and cross. Why? Money can't buy your class. Singing, they have plenty money, but no class. Plenty money, but no class. Mucho big dinero, but no class. Vive with me poquito, no class. Some men just have a bag of money, but no manners or etiquette. They were dragged up with no protection. Words like peace and thanks they forget. Matthew chapter 19 and verse 24. Rich man's way to heaven, red hot to secure. Easier for a camel through a needle's eye than the rich to ever get a blind. The poor they don't even have to try. My, money could buy paintings, money could buy art, all kind of cute screen things, and phones and Christmas. It could buy protection, insurance from flood, but can't buy salvation.
Yes, the time in studio. 21 minutes after the 11 p.m. hour.
No fault and peace are the past. Money can't buy your class.
That's the name of the tune.
In every cocktail party, knocking glass. Chill. Money can't buy your class.
Yes, and the last thing that we're going to touch on before we leave here is the situation with water. You know, that was a major, is a major issue in the country. Just coming out of the elections, going into the elections and coming out of the elections, there were certain accusations that were made against APUA employees, namely the water section.
Yes.
Of APUA.
Mr. What's the manager's name again?
Lewis.
Ian Lewis. He got a brunt of the blame.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And right after the election, I remembered when the ministers were being sworn in, MP for St. Paul's basically say, hey, we now cut no corners and this and blah, 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 blah. I have the recording, but, time is long gone now, so I'm not going to get into that. Just to say, or suffice to say, that, you remember some years ago they had a problem in Florida. During the election, they had a problem in Florida, and it was about the Chad.
Mm-hmm.
The hanging Chad and this Chad and that Chad. Well, around here it was the infamous valves. Valves weren't being turned on. Valves, what do you call it? The wrench or whatever.
They find them all in the people.
But you notice now that APA turn on all the valves, we have a ton of bus pipe around the place.
Well, that is one thing to buy. That is one thing to buy.
Everywhere you drive, beef. Everywhere you drive, you see the road of them wet.
Anyway, so before and after the elections, it was about the infamous valves. The valves. Let's go here.
And the one other point, your humble servant here would have reported to Cabinet that over the next 90 days, that there are a number of projects, micro projects, if you will, that I have instituted and directed within the utilities to ensure that we are going to be able to respond to some of the protracted shortages of water that a number of communities have been complaining over for the past, for more than 2 years, or even longer in some circumstances. And I'm happy to report that over the weekend, one of the projects should be able to deliver water for the first time in a while to certain elevated areas in the Liberty area. Infrastructure plants are going to be bought to ensure that we can put a pressure station in the CV Farm area that will serve the elevated areas in CV Farm and Clarksville in short order. So over the next 90 days, these projects will be implemented. And what we are trying to do now is to bring some degree of stability to the disruptions that we are facing in the system. Yes, there's still the requirement for us to complete the plant at Bethesda, and that is one of the projects that I've asked to be properly defined and cataloged such that any resource constraints that are there, we can face up to it. I'm also happy to indicate that the utility company is expected to be in a position to draw down further on that syndicated loan that was negotiated and approved more than 2 years ago. There were some issues with the contractual arrangements, but working with the major bank, the Frontline Bank, Antigua Commercial Bank, and its other partners, we have been able to get to a position where by the end of this month, all those contractual agreements should be out of the way with respect to the other syndicated partners, and the utility company should be able to draw down on these resources. This is going to be important because many of these micro projects that I've referred to required capital funding, and I've indicated to the management team at the utilities that the government's first 5 priorities for the utility companies begin and end with water. So the public can be assured that whatever steps are going to be necessary to be able to get to the position by the end of the year that every home and every business that requires water for its sustenance and for its facilities will be able to have a consistent and regular supply of water. There is, however, going to be the challenge at the end of that road that we're going to have to look at the whole financial structure affecting the utilities.
Water gone up.
Clearly, we're not in a position to make those adjustments now. The most important thing is to deal with the overdue demand from the consumers for a consistent supply of water. And that remains my target and my goal. And I believe, as I've indicated to the Cabinet yesterday, over the next 90 days, a number of communities should begin to see a relief. And as we forge ahead with continuing to expand the reverse osmosis plants, our forecast at this stage and projected forecast is that there's still going to be drought conditions. While we have begun to produce water from some of the surface catchments, there's not enough, and certainly from our ground sources there's still not enough. And part of what I've set out to do as well is to look particularly in the Bendels and the Hamilton area, is to look at those freshwater sources and catchment systems and make a determination with assistance from the Department of Environment, because they're able to leverage resources from the Global Climate Fund, to make a determination as to whether or not we can improve those catchment systems and to be able to ultimately draw a much better yield than we have been drawing. The water courses are certainly in need of renovation and repair, and so I'm undertaking to do that simultaneously, as well as improving the supply of water through the RO plants, the many RO plants that we now have installed, and are working to ensure that can become a reality in the not too distant future.
Yes, that was the Minister for APUA at the last cabinet briefing.
So some things jumped out at me in that whole deliberation there. And maybe I can ask you a question, Beef. How long ago he knew that these areas needed attention?
Maybe when he took up the portfolio.
That's an answer, Beef?
That's the one that I'm going to give you.
So it moved from valves not being open to now investing, getting the money. So APUA Water Department did not have any money.
It would not have paid so.
Okay. So now they have
remember I say that a lot of people talk to me. Because I'm fat. A lot of people talk to me.
Think you're a bald head.
Okay. I'm told that a list was presented to the cabinet in 2018. And when they went back to cabinet in 2020, they walked back with the same list.
So cabinet knew the problem.
From what I'm told.
he mentioned Liberta, St. Paul's.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like the minister of that, the MP of that area, knew the problem. That's why he was chucking in water.
I'm not going to say that. Because I hear the minister saying he don't understand why there's a plant down in English Harbour and the water can't come over. The water is not coming to Liberta. I remember one of the last programs I have had down there, Crocus had called me and saying the same thing.
Yes,
but I knew that when that reverse osmosis plant was put in,
it wasn't for Liberta.
I know that.
So what's so
I mean, live
hard, so what's so hard for the minister to understand that?
I really can't speak for other people.
If it doesn't service the other areas, I mean, he's saying that Liberta isn't being serviced by this plant.
Yeah.
And it was commissioned in English Harbour.
For English Harbour, for the yacht as well.
It was commissioned for the yachties.
So why is he being so difficult in saying that he doesn't understand that these other areas aren't being?
That one day can't answer.
Oh my!
But with the new minister, well, with the new minister, we're hearing of building. I think they call them pressure zones, to take the water like over the hill in Seaview Farm, taking it over to Clarks Hill, to bring it up the hill to go to Liberta. Those are being given priority now to get water to the elevated area. Because what I understand has been happening, in order to get the water to the elevated areas, you have to open the valve. You have to carry the pressure. That is bursting up the old pipes in them.
Mm-hmm.
So that is why when you're saying about I just smile, because I was told that in order to get the water up, you have to carry up the pressure, which is now burst of the pipe. So that 5 or 10%, right, to service them, you're going to now affect 80%. Because I think I heard the minister said that he was showing a map where 80% is on the flat level.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that is now where the pressure points in them is coming in, so that you can get it over the hill to service elevated areas. Of course, there's going to be money. You need money to do these things. The minister have then said that this loan that was
2 years ago,
right? They haven't even started drawing down on that as yet. And I would have heard something again that I'm not ready to say on here yet. I'll tell you off here in relation.
Well, real talk. This isn't a real talk.
No, this is a real talk. But I'm now going to move your style and call fire. No, I'm now going to move your style and call fire.
I will take that with a pinch of salt.
Yeah, I'm now going to move call fire.
So listening to the minister, pointing out the issues, moving from valves to now building these pressure points so people on elevated areas. But what happened to the 85% in the low area who not getting the water either, Beef? They're not getting the water.
I don't know about that.
Because, I'll just say that
what
when
you
they
mean?
open the line...
I don't know about that.
Yeah, just say when they open the line that all the water waste.
They're not getting the water.
Well, I don't know about that.
So what you know about?
I know that. Well, they're not getting water every day. They might not be getting water every day. You're on the elevator there?
Huh?
You're on the elevator there?
I can't afford APA water.
Oh, okay, all right. I will know you're careful.
Very careful.
Right.
I chuck in water.
My friend, between, I have to laugh. They started digging up from by Dickers Back Street, coming across, going from south to north.
Yeah.
They reach as far as, I don't know if it's Amy Bayer Street is the name of the road that goes down to into Villa, where by the two church. And then after the election, new minister come, that stopped because then they put in the pipes. I remember the discussion with you and another person had talking about the island-wide repiping that was happening.
Oh, please.
Right?
That's give me
so
you know about any island?
You know about island-wide.
That is that. All I'm saying is
that was a paid comment.
All I'm saying is the state of the pipes, right? Seemingly they can't take certain kind of pressure,
and that's why they stopped the road work on Anchorage to put in the pipes.
That's the one from Back Street, yeah.
Yeah.
You're coming across here. At least that was said in the cabinet notes. Because during Lesterbird time, they used to have GIS. And somebody read something from GIS and I guess sooner.
I have a recording of the same Minister Chet Green
Yes.
on his program. Okay, you know, he has a program.
Yes.
And that's why I'm happy they have programs, you know. Because if you listen carefully, that's when they bring out things, but it passes over people's head until it's played over again.
Pass over some people's head.
Because he said the tank up. Remember, 2 of his constituents did videos on the tank up at Patterson's?
Yeah, Megatron and
Megatron and the young man who is now with him. That tank wasn't commissioned because the pipes to go up there had to run through people's property. Is not them now rushing to get it done?
It has to go to people's property, no.
That's what he said back then. The pipes had to go to people's property.
That stalled.
Yes, the connection. And the tank was in the wrong place.
So is the tank connected now?
I don't think so.
Okay, I must ask a question.
I don't think so. That's something we need to look into.
Yeah, I'll ask a question.
Perhaps they make the connections now to make this possible.
Probably they're trying to get the pipes up being put up there.
Don't worry.
That's the last thing I heard.
I'll get that information. That's easy to get.
But that was the case of stalling because the pipes had to go through people's property up there. I didn't find that made any sense whatsoever.
You mean that was during UPP time you're talking about?
No.
During UPP time.
White's not commissioned on.
No, right?
No, yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll ask a question about it. Guys, it's 11:36 p.m. and we really and truly need to be getting out of here. Let me see if there's anything, normally, let me see if there's anything on the board that I should be replying to. Okay, Annette, thank you very much. You're telling us safe drive home.
Yeah, and I just want to say good night to Jackie Winter and Monique Wilshire and Jackie Winter. It was good. Entertaining you all.
The Black Yeti final word.
Yeah, and I just want to give thanks, and let's just work towards getting a better Antigua and Barbuda.
Yes, I.
All right. Well, folks, we would have come to the end of our program. It's 11:37 p.m. Guys, as you all are going home, drive safely. We'll touch base when we get home so that I know everybody's home.
Blessed.
Yeah, and for your first show, thank you very much for inviting me. Yeah. I hope I get further invitations whenever I'm available on a Saturday or whenever you have other nights, because I'm sure management will be getting a call to give you more nights.
Let's stick with the Saturdays now. Guys. Thank you very much for coming. And when you invite me to your program, I'm gonna come with Jablaki.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Me and Jablaki and package.
Oh man,
we'll come with Jablaki, make you do things fun.
The sugar sell off.
Well, they done the face some little. Your arrangement over there is a little different to my arrangement over here. You know what I mean? But such is life. Such is life. You know what I mean? Such is life. Guys, thanks for coming. And let me just say thank you and good night to those persons who would have stayed the course with us for the night. It was nice. It was, first night, still getting my feet wet as to how things are around here. But in no time, I'm sure that I'll have that. I did keep a piece from Paddy. He said it some time ago, and it stuck with me, and I'd asked him if I could use it, and he said yes. And I think I want to use it tonight. You know what I mean? As a talk about getting my feet wet and getting myself sorted out. He says natural ability without education has often more attained to virtue and glory than education without natural ability.
Sound good.
It stuck with me
when
I heard it.
Plausible.
Thank you again. God spare life. I'll be back with you next Saturday. I'm going to make the one to pass over my head. God spare life next Saturday. I'll be back in town with you. And we could just, have a recap as to what would have been taking place during the week coming up to the Saturday. So until I come to you again, Jablaki.
Blessed, my brother.
Big up yourself.
Yeah, man.
Good night, everybody.